Good morning and welcome to Mornings with Nate. I'm really happy and thankful for those of you who have gotten up so early in the morning to watch me. You know, a lot of times I talk a little bit about what has happened since the last episode because there always seems to be either an issue or some challenges since the last episode of Mornings with Nate, although we broadcast every day, mornings, Monday through Friday from 6 to 9 a.m. But Deborah, I see you out there. What part of the world are you from? I always like to find out what part of the world people are watching us are from. But Deborah, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what happened since the last episode. You know, occasionally there are different things like technology issues and other things that happen when you do the live stream broadcast, especially the way that we do the live stream broadcast. Between the software, the hardware, things that happen in the cloud that are beyond your control. I like to use all of these things as kind of learning experiences, even though I have a tech background. As many of you know, watch the show. I constantly learn things, and I'm always surprised at how often that I'm the first to do something with my customer service people. So, you know, if you have an issue with live streaming, you'll talk to your customer service people, and they'll say, well, they don't know. Let's try it. And I'm thinking, I can't believe you guys don't know. You guys are a pretty big company. You know, am I the first one to actually ask this question? But part of the reason that it's that way, I guess, is that I'm one of the rare people who livecast so much. As I mentioned, I'm on Monday through Friday, and then I'm on so long, you might say, long in the Facebook sense, 6 to 9. Facebook only allows you to broadcast 3 straight hours, and then they cut you off. So we broadcast 3 straight hours, and so we're out there a lot. And during that time of live streaming, there's a lot that we experienced. And experience. So I'm always prepared to have a backup. If something goes wrong with my camera or computer or lights or sound or whatever, we always have a backup. And maybe because of that, and quite frankly, we're in the process of getting a backup to our backup. Because live streaming can be very uncertain. You know, there are people who live stream simply by taking their cell phone and propping it up, or their iPad, propping it up and just go to work. And that's fine. But if you want to incorporate other things, graphics, sophisticated split screening, other types of kind of monetization techniques, you really have to make some investments. And to kind of bring the level up, because certainly the live streaming software works on very sophisticated computers, so you got to make an investment in that, and on and on and on. And so, in the process of testing out this real new technology and testing it out with multiple platforms, because you can live stream, as you all know, directly to Facebook, which we're doing now, but you can also live stream to YouTube. You can live stream to Instagram, Periscope, other services, and each has its peculiarity. And the more people you involve, or the more platforms you involve, quite frankly, the more that can go wrong, and the more you have to monitor. For those of you who see me, when I see what's appearing in the monitor right now, what I see is you'll get to see all the computers and monitors and stuff that's around me. Kind of nice little closed-in shot. It's a little different shot than my normal shot. To be honest, I'm just kind of noticing that. Normally, I've got a little wider view of myself, but this is just another example of what can go wrong. Now, why is this view different today, for those of you who watch the live stream? Because I kind of assume, I didn't really do anything with the view, but I did do something with the view last night. I was experimenting, doing some video commercials. These days, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in my mind to buy a whole lot of marketing material. So if you ask me, what is the we all about, or what is Mornings with Nate all about? In the old days, what you would do is you would go out and you'd buy a bunch of marketing material, and I'd hand it out and send it out and stuff like that. Well, in the digital age, with so much being done by video, you can actually just simply set up what I've done, which is set up a subdirectory on my website, and you do the video explanation. So, people say, well, Nate, what is the we all about? Well, you do a video. You do, and what is Mornings with Nate all about? And, other things that we might produce, how we deal with it. Because instead of going out and buying a lot, you're doing a graphic designer and buying a whole lot of expensive marketing material, what I do is I create a subdirectory on my website. Now, you got to know how to do that. And since I don't know how to do it, I don't have to pay anybody to do it. I just, do it. And I learned to do it. I don't want to make too much of a point of that. But bottom line, you do it. And then you do some videos and try to answer the questions that people have. And maybe you might put up there kind of a frequently asked question thing on your site. And then once you have that, all you have to do when people want to know more what you're doing, let's say someone says, well, what are you all about? You direct them to the website. You say, well, look, let me send you the address to the website. They go to the website, they can look at the videos, and if things change for you, you just do another video. For instance, if we were to add more shows, we do have other shows. Directory, the website where you've done the videos. Well, that's a long way of saying why this view is a little different than I'm looking at on my monitor. And I really didn't pay much attention to it until I started doing the broadcast. And then I said, wow, this view is a little different than my normal view because you're a little bit more close up on me than you normally would be, which is fine because depending on what you think how you think I look, you may not want to be that close up on me. But I don't have any guests that are here in the station, in the studio today. I do have some guests that I hope will be able to make it. You know how it is in the live streaming world. You see them when you see them. But the good thing is I bring them all in remotely. So, maybe that's the whole idea. If I bring them in remotely, maybe I should make the screen a little bigger. And so in that way, you see the black boxes around it, you just, let me just, while we're actually talking here, boom, boom. There we go. See, you see what I mean? See, I didn't make that correction last night. It's an easy correction, but I didn't even notice it until we started the broadcast. And that's what live streaming is all about. Now you see a little wider view. But I actually changed the view last evening because I was doing those videos, experimenting and so on, because you do the video, you do a couple of takes. And if you got some video editing software, you edit it down to what you're comfortable with and go with it. And so that costs nothing other than my time. Thank God I've got the technical ability to do it. And because it does take some technical ability, transferring the files and, getting into the video editing software and dealing with that. Maybe my volume of voice wasn't as loud as I'd like it to be, how you change the volume or all that kind of stuff. It does take some technical capability. But I pretty much do it myself. Not pretty much, I do it myself. So it really cuts that off. Oh, we've got Daryl Chapman who's joined us. Daryl, how you doing? Good to see you. Talking a little bit about this whole live streaming process this morning. And as you noticed, I changed the up close, the zoom of the broadcast. And so it's back to its more traditional thing. Although I am not having any guests come in here this morning, I am expecting a couple of guests to come on. And when they do come on, because I've widened the screen, when I split the screen, hopefully we'll still both be of a size that you can see us reasonably. So that's the whole thing of, why I said I just took a second and put the screen back to where it usually is. But again, it's that kind of thing that quite honestly, I probably could have noticed it before I started the broadcast because you got a little preliminary view, but I didn't. Yeah. And that's what live streaming, that's what live streaming is all about. And quite frankly, that's kind of my bad. But the other day, when I was doing the live stream, it was my cloud service bad. And for those of you who are doing it, before I get into my little monologue and news and guests show up and all that, I always talk about The fact that, I've got different kinds of ways in which I broadcast. I've got the we, which is the umbrella that all the shows, the live streaming shows operate under. And then we all have our own personal fan page. And that personal fan page also gets broadcast in other pages that you're affiliated with. Quite frankly, just not to make this a Facebook live stream lesson, but the way you do it is any Facebook page that you are named as administrator on, you can live stream. So if Deborah, for instance, or Daryl, that I was an administrator over your live stream, I can plug it in. Now, mind you, it takes certain software, because not all live streaming software will allow you to broadcast to multiple pages. Most of the beginning level, basic level live stream software only allows you to broadcast to one place. So you pick that place, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, only one page on Facebook. That's all you get. But if you step it up and you kind of modify and customize a little bit, then you can broadcast live stream to multiple platforms and multiple pages. So then if you're an administrator on another page, like for instance, I've got the we page where I'm an administrator. I've got my personal page where I'm an administrator. An upgraded software allows me to live stream to both. And if I was administrator to yours, Daryl or Deborah out there, then I could live stream directly to your folks. So, but then that again, you do need some upgraded software, and that software, by the way, requires upgraded hardware, because it really requires a really fast CPU processor on your computer and a really fast video card, and also it requires a lot of bandwidth. The more places you broadcast to, the wider the bandwidth should be. Now, here's the good thing. We've got Lisa Saul. She's joined us. Good morning, Lisa. Again, what part of the world are you from? What part of the country are you from? I'm always interested to know. We're just talking a little bit about live streaming. And so the good thing here is that we're all on the Ethernet, and that means I'm all plugged into the wall. So everything that I have plugged into the wall, with the exception, of course, of my cell phone. And even that indirectly, if I wanted to, I could kind of put it on the wired network. I won't go all into that, but and that's an important point, because one of the things that I've noticed. We've got Patty Witchard. Patty, welcome to the broadcast. Put a note out there. Let me know what part of the world you're from. One of the things I've noticed about live streaming and this live streaming experience, because one of the things I've adopted is the saying kind of, I know a lot because I've seen a lot. And this whole live streaming experience, because I do it every day, Monday through Friday, and I do it several times a day. Like today, I'm going to do it again with Derek. I'll produce his show. So I see a lot. And when things can go wrong, I've experienced a lot of it. And one of the things I definitely recommend, if you can, is don't do wireless. Because the wireless stuff, the signal just keeps dropping. For instance, this is all what they call the Ethernet. I'm plugged into a wall. And then I got to make sure I got a fast connection even in that wall. Now, I won't go in. There's a lot more detail to it. I won't go into it. But the bottom line is, if I was just wireless, looking at my cell phone, which is wireless, you'd be shocked at how often the same signal that's going out that I'm looking at on these different monitors has dropped on my cell phone. Now, suppose I was live streaming from cell phone only. The way, many of us do. You got your cell phone and you go to work, go to Facebook, do the whatever and split screen, whatever you're going to do. But what good is it if it continues to drop? We're actually doing an experiment. Derek and I, who is the head of who's the host of the Culturally Conscious Network, we're actually doing an experiment today. And that experiment is that he's going to be broadcasting from a local restaurant. So he's going down, he's going to interview some people who are at this restaurant. Now, what's the issue there? The issue is the wireless. Do they have a big enough, fast enough wireless connection, if they have A, wireless at all? B, is it a fast connection? And he's going to be in a restaurant. How many people are going to be on it at the same time? Because quite frankly, if there are too many people on it, the connection will just continue to drop and come back and drop and come back. And sometimes if you do it with your tablet, it's the same kind of thing. If you saw what was going on right now, I've got these computers around me. And I guess I've got a little bit, you can kind of see it at the top here. I got a little tablet here. That tablet connection, it just continues to drop. I'm looking at it. First of all, I've got to just press my phone again because the wireless connection is just ridiculous. I mean, it just drops and doesn't start. Oops, now it's back. But you see that? See, you didn't hear that before because it wasn't there before. So you didn't even hear the volume that I should have turned down. But it just continues to drop. That's why I do not recommend for those who are out there who are doing the live streaming that you do too much on the phones, especially if you're like me and you're going to do it for a long time, because the signal might drop several times during the broadcast. People get bored. People drop off. So it's waiting for the signal to come back. And my whole tablet, if I could show you this, my tablet is like blinking in and out the signal. And that's another reason I've got these gigantic hands. So I'm not really a big tablet fan. I use it strictly as a monitor. But in terms of using it, it has nothing to do with my connection. It's just a pure monitor because the data doesn't move fast enough. As I mentioned, you need a fast CPU and a fast video card. And that is not in a tablet. So you're not going to get that. So that is part of the reason why I would not recommend that. And if you were to look at my cell phone right now, it's frozen again, although I can clearly see my monitors all around, doing their thing. So I always like to talk a little bit about this whole wireless journey and this whole live stream journey, because you learn by doing. There's a lot of things you can read the instructions and all that, but until you start to put some money behind some of the software that you hear about, and it's not like they give you any rebates. My software company that's over here is primarily in the cloud. My software over here, which is my backup, is all on my computers, but there is a cloud aspect to it because you do have to leave out. The signal has to go out. So chances are, but the big deal about what's on my right is that it allows me to do the split screen. And that's why it's kind of important, this works first and then I cut on the other computers kind of thing. And if it doesn't work, then I got to break out the backup camera. I got to break out the other software. And the other day, that was kind of interesting as well, doing this live stream. Because it was this terrible noise. You know how it is when you do live streaming and you do the same thing. Patty, thank you for joining the broadcast. But you do the same thing every day. And then one day you get a different result. Like I've had to break out my backup camera a couple of times because this software over here, this drops. It doesn't work. And so I got to break out the backup camera and I got to go to the software that's on the computers over here, which is, but then there was this terrible feedback. Now you can't see it because I've deleted that video because it was useless. What happened was, I'm fortunate. I've got what I call my social media dugs, my people who watch us every day, many of my friends and so on. So if there's something that's going wrong, oftentimes they will call me in the middle of the broadcast on my cell phone. So, and when that happens, I usually answer it, even though I'm doing my thing here and I'm getting the broadcast and doing my whole message thing. But when they call me, I know something's wrong. And so that's what happened the other day. My friend called me and told me, Mr. PB is on. Are you still over in London? He's joined our broadcast. Glad to see you. I saw some of the stuff you were broadcasting the other day. Phil is looking for an in-house counsel, by the way. If there are any in-house counsels out there, are you still looking for one? Go ahead, put the message out here. Maybe there's somebody here who knows how to get an in-house counsel who's willing to go over to London if that's where you still are. Well, anyway, it had never happened before. I had done it many times, but I'd never had this gigantic feedback, to the extent that I stopped the broadcast because it was just useless. You couldn't hear anything. You could see me, but then all you heard was his feedback. So, and then I called the customer service company about it. The funny thing about that, customer service is kind of interesting because customer service doesn't open up till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Now, as all of you know, I broadcast from 6 to 9 Eastern Standard Time. So if something goes wrong and customer service doesn't open until, 9:30, that doesn't help me out a lot because, they can't do anything for me. So, all those things are the kind of things that you kind of deal with in this whole live streaming world, which I find to be very interesting and exciting. We got a number of shows that we're looking to launch that are focused on business and focused on other issues. We have got some guests that I'm hopeful will make it in sometime today, and we'll go over what they're doing. And many of you out there are doing interesting things. I certainly invite you to make contact with me and instant message me, or my email is Nate at THEWE.world, not .com, .world. And I put that out a lot because we are constantly looking for people who are doing interesting things, and we want to get you on as guests so our people can hear about just what you're doing. Oh, we've got Herbert Wright. He's here. Oh man, I'm so glad to see you. I know we was in the hospital for a little while. And I got a cold, so I didn't get a chance to go by and see him. He's someone I grew up with. And we've got Mr. Smith, SPS Smith, the great one, who is on the line with us. And glad to see you. Glad to see you watching. But we have some guests who are kind of lined up today, and we hope that they will make it. We've got, let's see here, who is supposed to make it, because I'm telling you, I'm learning. Oh, what do we have over here? I'm looking over to my right. We've got the famous, indubitable Mr. Earl Bravo, who is online. And let's see here. Let me just check him. Okay. All right. We got, good morning. Good morning. I see Herbert Wright saying good morning over that side. Good morning. We have got Miss Shantavia Gathers, who is supposed to join us during the broadcast, probably in the second half hour or so. She is the queen of ADHD, and that is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And she's going to talk about how she got in that business, how she became known as the queen of ADHD. It's a problem worldwide with kids, and she's going to talk about that effort a little bit and how you can kind of deal with her and contact her and stuff like that. So, and let's see, we've got Miss Allison Nash, who is scheduled to join us today. And Allison is a relationship and communication coach. So you'll see her later in the broadcast. And also we have Dr. Roger Blackwell, PhD, who is a professor of marketing. He is the former professor emeritus, or I guess you can't ever be former professor emeritus. You're like professor emeritus, former professor and professor emeritus up at Ohio State University in marketing area. He'll probably join us about the tail end of the broadcast. Hopefully all those things will happen. But one thing's for sure, thank you, Lord, I'm here. And, we got a lot of things that we could talk about this morning. I was kind of bummed, to be honest with you, first thing this morning. And I'll tell you why. This morning went fairly smoothly. It was kind of uneventful just getting here. In fact, I kind of did a little time saving. Normally when I get done with the day, when I do the show, I always talk about my schedule. I'm up at 3 a.m. It takes me about an hour and a half to get ready, get out the door. So by the end of the day, I'm kind of tired. Tonight, the show with Derek, the Culturally Conscious Network, it starts at 7. We'll do that from 7 to 7:30, 7 to 8. If all goes well, I leave here, and then I get home at about 9. If I could just fall in the bed at 9 o'clock without eating, then, it's only 6.5 hours sleep, roughly 6 hours, 15 minutes sleep. And then I'm back up again. I'm back here. I'm not complaining. I love what I do. I love this. I love being able to bring people to you. I love this whole new thing of live streaming. But my bottom line is that if you see me by the end of the day, I may be dragging a little bit. So, what I really try to do is to kind of, get my routine down. And so I did a little time saving thing yesterday. This is actually a new shirt. So what does that mean? That means I didn't have to really, find something to wear and iron it. Because when I get home late at night, I don't feel like doing that. So it's an early morning thing. I get up, let me find what am I going to wear today, so on and so forth. And so it was a nice little time saving. There's a little Macy's up the street. I went up there and boom, boom, boom. And, so I have that. So bottom line is that this morning things went smoother, and I got here a little earlier. But I really got here earlier for one reason, that I planned to get here earlier. I wanted to see the super blood moon. And I thought that I heard that the super blood moon was going to be available to my area at about 5:30 this morning. So by that time, I'm here, and everything's kind of set up, and it looks like it's going to be okay. So, here. I've got Daisy. Good morning, Daisy. Daisy, one of my old friends. She's one of the people I depend on to make sure I'm getting out there. Yes. She actually, the Miss Gathers. It depends. She could hit us, about 6:30 or something like that if you want to see her. But I try to put people on the spot too much because we'll see what happens. We're still very experimental with the links and all to get people in. So we'll see what happens. So she's got an excellent story to tell, and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. But I wanted to see that super blood moon. So I get here this morning. And I'm looking up at the sky, and it's all cloudy and all. And here, this morning, it's a very cloudy day. And so I'm saying, well, woman, I don't even see the moon. I'm in an office building. So I walk around the front of the office building, no moon. I go around the back of the office building, no moon. The last time they had the super blood moon was 1866. So, the chances of me seeing it, if it takes that long for it to come back, 1866 to 2017, 34 plus 17, 51, it's not likely. So I wanted to catch it this time. But I went to the front of the building, no moon. Went to the back of the building, no moon. And then I come in here and I look at our local paper. It looked like actually the blue moon happened very late last night. The blood moon happened very late last night. And there's this very nice picture of the blood moon over downtown Baltimore. We broadcast from Baltimore, Maryland, and I missed it 100%. And I was kind of bummed about that because I was really looking forward to it. I talked about it yesterday on the broadcast. I asked some people to kind of watch it with me. We're all staring up at space at the same time. Well, for those of you, I want you to know I kept the faith. 5:30 this morning, I was looking up at the sky, well, maybe even a little earlier, and looking for the blue moon, but missed it. Did any of you out there see I keep seeing blood moon. So did any of you all get to see the blood moon? Wherever you might be in the world, did anyone see it? It looked like a very beautiful thing. And if I had seen it, I certainly would have taken a picture of it with my cell phone camera and probably used it this morning as a part of the opening. But the closest I guess I'll get to see it was that very nice picture that was in the local paper of the blood moon. So I guess it was not to be. Even though I had planned, even though I thought I had an understanding of when it was going to be available, it was just not to be. So did any of you out there, any of you seen the broadcast? Mr. Smith, Phil, Patty, did any of you see it out there, wherever you are in the world? I'd be interested to know. And if you did see it, Herbert, Pee-wee, did you see it out there? Daisy, anybody see the blue moon? I keep saying blood moon. It's that saying. It's more of a common saying to say something hadn't happened in a blue moon. In the blue moon restaurants and stuff. There was one here in Baltimore. But I have to kind of think about saying blood moon, blood moon. But if any of you all saw it or thought about seeing it, I'd be interested to know. So Daisy, you missed it too? You missed it? Because I really, those kind of events where they say it's like a once in a lifetime thing, the eclipse, and it's not going to be back for 50 years or something like that. You kind of think, although we all like to think we're going to live forever, statistically, not likely. So those once in a could be lifetime things. I like to kind of take them in. When we had the eclipse, I kind of sat on the bench, even though I was busy as I don't know what. I sat on the bench and kind of just took it in. And, this thing is happening. I'm here and I can talk about it and be a part of it. And so I'm kind of sorry I missed the blood moon. But if any of you saw it, I'd be interested to see what you thought about it. Was it beautiful? Was it something that you got to take a picture of? Heck, if you got to take a picture of it, send me the picture. I'd love to see it. I'll put it up on the broadcast. But I was kind of bummed I didn't get to see it. But hey, hopefully there'll be something else that happens before I croak, and I'll be able to see that. So on to the next thing, whatever the next natural event is that happens. The second thing I wanted to kind of talk about from the news perspective is what's happening right now in San Francisco. As you know, all over the United States, they are pushing to make medical marijuana legal. In some places, like, is it New Hampshire? That they have made marijuana 100% legal, not just medical marijuana. That I think it's New Hampshire that you can go to, and you can anybody can just go into a dispensary and buy some marijuana, and that's that. The way people can buy cigarettes or alcohol or anything like that. In California, I think they've gone a long way. I don't know if California is 100% legal yet. I know they've got the medical marijuana thing going. In fact, I have a medical marijuana card. I've had some health challenges with qualified. Now, I've never used it, to be honest with you. But we do have some dispensaries here in Maryland that maybe one day, I'll go in and just check it out and just see what it's all about. Go in there and see what they look like. Because I have some friends that are in the medical marijuana business. But so I'll check it out. Anybody else out there got a medical marijuana card? I remember that there used to be these movies. What's the comedian's name out of Atlanta? And he does. His name is right on the tip of my tongue. I could see him. Madea, the guy who does Madea. You guys know who I'm talking about. He's got this sidekick, and she's always smoking a joint, and she's always says, "I'm legal." I got the medical marijuana card. Well, actually, you don't even need a card. All you need is your number. What they do is they give you a number. And you go into a dispensary, you just give them your number, and they type it in, and you come up on a database that you're legit. With a little ID, you're legit. And the card, which costs $50 here in Maryland. So if you don't want to just go with your number, you want an actual card, like in the Madea movies, then you pay the $50. But since I haven't done it at all, I don't really worry much about it. But in San Francisco, what they're doing is that if you had a marijuana conviction back to 1975, that they are actually going to wipe out that conviction. And that's going to mean thousands of people who, here we got a comment from Daisy. He said, it was called a super blood blue moon. The blood is oranges, and the blue moon is when a full moon occurs twice in a month. And it's a very bright moon. Yeah, Daisy, I'm sorry I missed it, because I would have liked to have seen it. And it's kind of like one of those things, if I had young kids, maybe we'd all kind of get up and watch this event together. The way I used to take my kids to the fireworks on 4th of July, we kind of watch the blue moon or something. That's what I would envision doing. Of course, for me, it would have been just me watching it with those of you who would have, for me, who would have gotten the right time, which I didn't have, who would have just everybody watching the same moon in different parts of the world. I would thought that was cool. But these marijuana convictions, wiping them out, it's really something. The way society changes. On one hand, you could go to jail for selling marijuana. You could get 10 years for selling just a small amount, or having a small amount on you. You can go to jail for a fairly long time. And in San Francisco, California, USA, now they're going to wipe out all of those convictions, which I think they should. Derek Burnett is joining us. Derek, I mentioned earlier that your show is coming on later, the Culturally Conscious Network. And that's coming on at 7 o'clock. And I told him that we were going to experiment broadcasting your show from the restaurant. So that's going to be real interesting, with the wireless connection and so on. So we're going to experiment. One other advancement, one other thing we're trying to do to advance what we do. Now, we have broadcasted with people in cars, actually driving. They're the guests and they're broadcasting while they're, riding. And that works okay. Signal dropped a couple times, but it was okay. But just getting back to this, what do you all think about that? Do you think these marijuana convictions ought to be wiped out? No. And because society has changed and California has changed. Do you think they ought to be wiped out in other parts of the country? I mean, here in Baltimore, I tell you, there's a lot of people go to jail for drugs, for marijuana in the Baltimore, D.C. area. A lot of folks sitting in jail. Do you think those convictions ought to be wiped out? Is it fair that one state says something is illegal and another state says it's legal? Because in the state of Maryland, as far as I know, if the police catch you with marijuana, you can still go to prison. But if you're in California and the police catch you with marijuana now, it's not illegal. Is that right? Is that fair? Is that something that, that should be? And Should it be more of an issue that it seems like justice one place should be justice everywhere in the same country? I mean, my friends over in Germany, and if you and Phil, you're over in London. I mean, if marijuana is illegal in London, it ought to be illegal in some other part of England. It ought to be. Bottom line is, it ought to be equal justice within the same country. Now, certain countries like China and all, they're pretty hard on drugs. We've got. Derek, it's going to the restaurant. That's what you're giving me. The restaurant is going to be called The Grind and Wine, and you're going to be interviewing Miss Kelly Carter, the owner of Grind and Wine. Now, I don't know what the grind part is, but I can, the wine, everybody's going to get in there and drink a little vino. I don't know you're going to grind your own grapes. Is that what it is? That kind of thing. But you can tell me, but I'm sure it's going to be very interesting tonight to see that and to see you remotely. So those of you, come on back at 7 p.m. tonight if you have a chance, Eastern Standard Time, and you'll see us broadcasting the Culturally Conscious Network and what Derek is doing out there. Derek Burnett, who's the host of that show, will be doing. Derek, I talk about the wireless stuff. My cell phone, which is wireless, here is just going crazy. I look down and the wheel is just spinning. The wheel is just spinning. So sometimes that wireless connection can be a little suspect, but we're going to do the best job we can. But any thoughts out there on that and what's happening in San Francisco? And actually, the government now saying they're going to wipe out the convictions. And by the way, they're going to wipe them out, whether you apply to have them wiped out or not, which is very interesting to me. Oftentimes, if the court comes out and says, okay, we changed the law and what used to be illegal is now legal. In order to benefit from that, you need to file some type of form in order to get that benefit. But in California, they're just going to go through. And can you imagine a state the size of California? They're going to go back to 1975. And everybody who had a marijuana drug conviction, they're just going to take it off your record. That's kind of cool, I think. I think that's the way it should be done. Instead of forcing people to get an attorney and everybody may not know how to, where to send a form and all of that kind of stuff. We'll just forget that. We're just going to cut through all that. And then this day and age when we've got so much technology, it should be just a computer thing. Give me a listing of everybody who has a marijuana conviction. Let me, sort the database and, have a listing of all these people and everybody press a button. You're just going to delete, just deletes it all. Anything really that's put in marijuana or some whatever, delete. And then it's done. It should be that way. I think so in this digital age. But, and quite frankly, given what people are saying about marijuana, I think more of it should be done as far as taking that stuff off the record. The other side of it, the problem is that our Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, he feels totally different. He has said that he's going to step up the convictions on a federal level. Well, so on a state level, it's legal, but on a federal level, it's illegal. And so even in the state of California, for instance, you're probably not going to just be able to walk into a courtroom, in a federal courtroom and light up a joint. Where if you were in a state courtroom, you could go in that courtroom and light up a joint. Nothing can happen to you. But once you're on federal ground, in a federal park, for instance, or a federal courtroom, and you light up a joint, well, there could be difficulties. So you want to maybe keep that in mind, even if you visit California. You can't just say, hey, I'm in California, I'm going to sit on a bench wherever I might be and light up a joint or take a couple, whatever, marijuana gummy bears or whatever you're taking. And because if you get up and you walk over and you stand, all of a sudden you walk into a federal park and they say, we want to test you. Uh-oh, you got marijuana in your blood, you're on a federal land, you're under arrest. And I've actually done a lot of studies, a lot of studying about marijuana and marijuana laws. I'm actually certified in it. Most people know when I want to learn something about anything, the first thing I do is I take a course. These days, education is so inexpensive, online stuff. So I take a course, and I wanted to learn more about this whole marijuana business because I'm an investor, and I wanted to. People ask me about what I think about marijuana all the time, and so I wanted to take a course. And so I took what's called the Safe Access Program. You can Google that. And they have certifications. And what I did, as usual, is that if I'm going to take a course in something, well, you might as well get certified in it. If you're going to take the course, you might as well take a little exam, get certified. And so that's what I did. And this Safe Access Group, what they do, they are the leading proponent for legal marijuana in the country. And so they offer all these courses. And I took the courses, and there are 3 levels of course. There's a basic, intermediate, and what they call the auditor course. And not to give you too much of a class on it, but every aspect of the marijuana business, they certify. So you can be a grower, someone who grows it. You can be a processor, someone who takes the marijuana and processes, gets all the seeds and all that kind of stuff out of it and processes it. Or you can be a dispensary, someone who takes that finished product and bottles it and puts it out there. Or the 4th is you can be a lab. Someone's got to certify that there's not too many pollutants and not too many harmful chemicals in the marijuana, because they've proven that can kill you. So we got to make sure that those kind of deadly substances that can be in marijuana, that they're not in there beyond a certain approved level. So the highest level of what you can do in those certifications is what's called an auditor. And so that's what I did. I took all these courses in it, and I became certified as an auditor. Now, you say, well, Nate, what have you done with it? Not much, because I'm not really, in the marijuana business. I don't work for anybody in the marijuana business, but I think I got a pretty good knowledge of the game and how it works, how people make money. And in the process, I met several marijuana growers. I've been to grow plants. And in fact, I may have some pictures. Maybe I'll get that picture when I was at the marijuana grow plant, because you're all dressed and you got to be in one of those hospital uniforms. You got the hood over your head, just like you go into some kind of toxic area. You got the gloves on and everything. It's really interesting because marijuana can be toxic. So if you touch it, when it's in its raw form, it's acidic and it can make you sick. So what happens is they put you in this toxic uniform and you walk through the plants. So you got the whole white uniform thing, the whole hoodie thing on, and it's real interesting. And so the guy there took my picture, and my buddy who was with me, actually Donnie Glover, who does the Donnie Glover show. Donnie was with me, and it's a huge thing. I mean, the place was as big as a shopping center. I never knew that marijuana grow facilities were so big. But I guess it's a big business growing marijuana. So it was very interesting. In fact, maybe we'll get the guy who runs that plant or some other people on the show to talk a little bit about marijuana, because a lot of people are interested, both from the investment standpoint and maybe some other people to talk about the health standpoint. Because I have to tell you, look who we have. We've got the famous Shantavia Gathers. We were talking about you earlier, Ms. Gathers. Go on, when you get ready. We gave you a little bit of a push there. I know you have that link. Go ahead and try out that link and see what happens. See if we can get you on board. Miss Shantavia Gathers, who is the queen of ADHD. She is with us. She says, "Good morning. I am unable to get on." That's not a good sign. Keep trying. Click on that link. I sent you, and download that app. Come on in through Facebook and keep trying. I don't know if Mr. Earl is out there, Mr. Earl Bravo. Maybe he can assist you a little bit. Earl's my, person who is fixer. It's hard to even give him a specific title. Earl, you need to fix her so she can get on the broadcast, please. And Daisy out there, because the whole link system, it's kind of, because what happens is, as you all know, I always invite people. Hey, who are you? Hi, always good to pop into the show. You run the show during work time, so it's difficult to listen in. Phil, I'm just happy you take the time to come on in. I know you're in London. I know you're busy. I did put a little plug out there that you are looking for a in-house counsel over in London. So my hope is that you can, maybe some people here might be interested, and that they can make contact with me. If I find out anything, I'll forward it to you. Phil is a tremendous entrepreneur. He is somebody who we got together doing the MIT program. And he is doing his thing over in London at the moment. Who else do we have here? Okay. And we are moving along with that. So if Ms. Gathers can get on board, we'll hear. Okay, let's see here. It says here, though I would appreciate if you could point me toward the previous shows to listen in and understand better what is discussed. Well, Phil, we have all our shows on the We. The We 123, if you do a Facebook search, the We 123, for those of you who would like to see some of the past episodes. I'm also going to be posting it on YouTube and posting on our website as we continue to develop that. So Phil, yeah, great. I'd love you to look at some of the past episodes. Love you to come on the show, kind of talk about the entrepreneurial world there, and to get you things rolling. So, and hear about how things are happening in London. So I appreciate you coming on. But one of the things that we want to do is kind of, if we can, we want to get Miss Gathers on so she can talk a little bit. But in the meantime, we'll just keep going through some of the stories that we're talking about today. Down in Puerto Rico, which is part of the United States, it's interesting to me that that people are still going to school and living in the dark. Students. That's amazing. We in Baltimore, we've got issues with air conditioning. That they had closed schools here because it was so cold and they couldn't keep the schools heated, which is terrible. But can you imagine going to school in the dark? And that's what's happening down in Puerto Rico right now. And people aren't really talking about it. I saw the story and it just seems to be very unfair that given that this is a part of the United States, let's see, Shantavia, the link is not given opening. I've downloaded the app. Well, keep trying there. Keep trying. I don't know if there's any way. I wish I could just give your number to Mr. Bravo and let Mr. Bravo kind of make contact with you. And I may just do that on this sorry butt phone. I shouldn't say that live air. Which I just don't like the fact I'm looking at this thing and the thing is spinning. So what I am doing at this moment, in the hope that we can get a guest here, is I am sending Mr. Earl your cell phone number. And maybe he might be able to give you a call. See, that's what we're doing on live. We make it happen. We make it happen here. There we go. So I've just sent that to him. And now let me go back to my Spinning Wheel Facebook page on my cell phone, because I would not recommend wireless if you're going to do this type of live streaming, because the signal is just too unpredictable. But it's just kind of giving you a little bit of background on things. But in Puerto Rico, any thoughts of that? Anybody have friends who are in Puerto Rico? I think Donnie told me that he's got some Puerto Rican heritage, and because I just think it's terrible. If that was here in the United States and students were going to school in the dark, that the schools were not lit, that would be all over the news. That would be something that would be terrible. People would be making all millions of dollars of donations and whatever they had to do to get the schools lit and up to standards again. So I just think that's a terrible thing. Anyone out there have any opinions about that? Anyone have any Puerto Rican relatives or friends or that are going through things? Just let me know, because I'd be interested in your perspective. Here's a biggie. Now, in California, they're saying that coffee may require a cancer warning. Well, I used to be quite the coffee drinker in my time. There's no doubt about it. I grew up with Southern parents. I started drinking coffee at a young age. And I didn't drink it so much because I wanted to stay awake or anything like that. I used to just drink coffee because of the taste. That I grew accustomed to the taste, and I would just drink it for that reason. It was just a part of breakfast. I would have my breakfast with coffee. And now they're saying that coffee might cause cancer. Because you see all these different kinds of reports. Some people say coffee is good for your heart. Other people say coffee is bad for your heart. Any thoughts on for people out there? I was kind of shocked when I saw this. This is on CNN. If you guys want to fact check me, go out to CNN and do the search on this. That coffee potentially could be cancerous. But I guess anything in excess, they say, has the ability to be cancerous. And at one time, I used to think of myself as like a coffee fiend, especially when Starbucks first hit. That used to be, because I'm always at the table. I'm always working hard. I feel bad when I get up because I want to stay on the grind. That's how I used to be. And my excuse for getting up was to get myself a cup of coffee. So I might get up and get a cup of coffee and get a refill, freshen up my coffee. I might do that 4 or 5 times a day, and thinking, get up from the desk, thinking, go over to the little coffee area. And in my company, we'd evolved it to where we had all the flavors and stuff in there. And then it was like drinking some sweet coffee. And I could just have it my way and make it the way I like it. But still, at its base level, it was coffee. And now the thought that coffee could cause cancer, do folks out there believe that? And boy, this is kind of a downer, a big hit for a place like Starbucks. I still got my Starbucks gift card in my pocket. I still plan to go there to get my green tea. So not green tea. I'm going to get the chai tea there. But and I'm not, of course, the coffee drinker that I once was. For the most part, I don't really drink caffeinated coffee the way I used to, but it was more for health reasons. It wasn't because I stopped liking the taste or anything like that. But now that I see here that coffee in California, they're going to actually require that people put a label on it, that coffee can cause, cancer. Yeah. And what do you guys think about that? Do you think that's a true report, or is this just one of the many confusing reports that's out there right now about, various things that we've come to know and love, whether it's sugar can cause cancer, coffee can cause cancer. You get into a mode where you say, well, gee, it seems like everything causes cancer. Maybe that's why there's so much cancer. Everybody and their brother, every time you turn around, somebody's got the big C, So what are your thoughts on that? So, okay, I see Mr. Earl. Okay. Well, hopefully that we can still get Miss Gathers in at some point. I don't see her in my green room yet. But if we don't get her today, I'm sure we'll try to get her another time. Again, I've given her a little plug, though, on her card that she left for me that just talks about the Queen of ADHD. I thought that was an interesting title. The Queen of ADHD, I'll get it right. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So, and I thought that would be something a lot of people like Daisy would be interested in hearing a little bit more about. But so if we don't get you today, Shantavia, for any reason, maybe we can walk through the process and get you another time. But keep trying. So any impressions about that? Any thoughts about that? Do we have any hardcore coffee drinkers out there that's not going to really bother them, that they're just going to keep on, or because they don't believe it? Or do we have some people that might get them to back off coffee a little bit? That in California, can you imagine that? You go to Starbucks and you get your coffee and you look at the cup and it says something like coffee may cause cancer. And that would not give me a good feeling about my coffee. And I wonder if, at Starbucks, there's so many other things that you can buy besides coffee. It's got to be one of those sticker things. It can't, because they're not going to put it on every cup, because you can buy, like I do, chai tea. You wonder, chai tea cause cancer? But you can buy flavors of different types of tea and all of that kind of good stuff. And you can buy some of the vegetable drinks, which I also buy, from Starbucks. So, but still, if I wanted to get some coffee, if I was a coffee drinker, and they slap some label, and they may even tell you the size of the label, so it's big enough so you can see it. You can't put it like at the bottom of the cup or something like that. You got to put it right on there. Coffee may cause cancer. Well. Okay, I got Miss Gather. She said, okay, Mr. Bravo tried to call you. So, you might want to accept that call. If somebody's calling you right now, it's probably him trying to help you get on board. So don't think it's like someone else. I know how that is. If you're not in my database and you call me, I really got a good feeling because I don't answer. Because everybody I need to talk to normally, I've got to program their number. Many of you might be like that as well. That's a good idea. Mr. Earl, himself is going to, experiment with it. So that's a good idea. Yep, there he is. Okay. Yep, everything's lovely. I see you, Mr. Earl. We just did a quick experiment with the link. Mr. Earl wanted to see if it worked, and indeed it did. For him, very quickly, I see him. Okay, we're in good shape. So the link does work. Shantavia, don't give up. I was. Okay. In experimenting with the link, we went dark. Oh boy, don't think that we've lost me. I'm back. We went dark. Experimenting with the link. For a second there, we went dark. Just experimenting with the link. So I'm glad you all stayed on. We try to, when that happens, we just try to come right back. But give me your thoughts. Any hardcore coffee drinkers out there who would be concerned about this, who this would back them up, that they wouldn't be interested in drinking coffee anymore? Let me know. Yeah, there's this other thing that was out there today that I've often wondered about. You've seen these people who do these standing desks. We've got a guy here who does it. He does the standing desk thing, where he's elevated his desk, he's standing up, he's working on the computer, and he's doing his thing. There is the question out there now as to whether or not when you are doing the standing desk, does it help you lose weight? So, I could kind of see how it kind of would make you move a little bit more if you're standing there. For me, I'm not sure I would like it because all it would do is make my legs tired, standing up all the time. At least I think so. Maybe it's just a thought that I have, that I've kind of, not in the shape that I once was. But I see Derek here. You sent me a picture of the Black Panther. We're going to talk about that later. How many of you are going to see the Black Panther movie? I've raised that yesterday. But that wouldn't quite be for me. That whole standing up elevated desk thing, because I think it would just make my legs tired. And that I would lose focus, because I'm kind of shaking off my leg. And if you stand still too long, don't your legs go to sleep or anything like that? So, now, let me know. What do you all think out there? Do any of you have the old standing desk, and do you see it as a benefit? Does it help you stay more alert? And bottom line, at least from this story, does it help you lose weight? Are you doing it in order to lose weight, or are you doing it because you believe that it helps your focus? That if you're standing up, that it will make you, it'll help you to focus on what the project that you're doing. For me, again, since when I type, I'm kind of accustomed to being in a certain way. I guess if I could just keep it right here, where if I just stand up and it's still right here when I type, then it would be okay. But I don't know. Maybe I'll ask him to let me try it out, see how I feel about it, see his little standing desk thingy, and see whether or not that is something that is going to help you in any way. I see Derek Burnett's back with us. Derek, great to have you back. Let me just deal with something that's kind of real serious. This stuff that's happening with Trump and the FBI. Anybody been reading about that? Apparently, there's this memo that the FBI has that substantiates, at least from the people, the Republicans and Trump, that the FBI was trying to help Hillary Clinton and hurt Trump. That they went out to do some things that would actually keep Trump from being president. And they've been going back and forth on whether or not that memo ought to be released. Good morning. We got Alexis Coates out there. Alexis from the Black Business Review. Always happy to have him on board. So this is a very serious matter because if the FBI is in the business of picking winners, in the elections, and that, we need to kind of address that because we don't expect that of the FBI. And the Trump and the FBI are kind of going back and forth. And supposedly this memo, the FBI is really fighting not to have it released, and Trump's going to release it. And the Republican, or the guy Lunas, who's the head of the Senate Republican committee that's in charge of this, they're going to put it out there. I think this is going to be very, very interesting to get that out there. And because what are they talking about? It's not like there's some kind of foreign individual or some kind of spy we try to keep secret if you don't release the memo or something. And it's going to be one of those things that is going to help Trump make the FBI look bad. What do you all think about that? Just let's see. We were talking about standing up, whether or not that helps you in exercise with having one of those standing desks. And Daisy's responded to that. He says he probably has a pad underneath his feet. The pad has balls in different levels where you can move around so your legs don't get tired. Well, that could be it, because actually in my kitchen, there are these little mats that you have that supposedly if you stand on these mats while you're cooking or washing dishes or something like that your legs are not supposed to get as tired. And they got a little cushion to them and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know if it worked. Oh, Robert Scott's joined us. Robert, it's great to see you. Robert's coming in from Atlanta. I don't know if that works or not per se. I can't really say that I've noticed any difference. The only difference I know is I'm constantly kicking the mats. Maybe I don't lift my feet up enough when I'm walking, but I'm constantly moving the mat. I have to constantly move it back to where it belongs. But I don't know. I can't really tell you honestly that I'm at the sink doing a whole lot of dishwashing and cooking, so maybe I'm not there long enough to really get the full benefit of it. But I will check it out with my friend here to see if he has one of those mats. Because we've got Ellen. Ellen Schramm joined us. Ellen, what part of the world are you from? Give us let me know where you're broadcasting in from, where you're joining us from. But glad to have you. So. This whole thing of that it will help me lose weight if I had one of those tables and it was elevated and I was standing, maybe over time, if I said, while I'm here, I'm going to jog in place for 15 minutes. I don't know. If it would that help me do something? And maybe that's it. Maybe I could get my steps in. Maybe if I had an elevated desk that, how they say you should get 10,000 steps in. There's another comment I'm going to talk about. A guy says you could get 12,000 steps in, which is, that's rough to do. I mean, at least for me it was. Even when I was walking, I'd walk in the mornings, and maybe in the mornings I'd get 6,000 steps done because I have a little longer trail. And then I could kind of get to 10,000 throughout the day, 4,000 steps was kind of doable. This guy is saying 12,000 steps. And if we get to that story where this other guy's talking about that, But what do you all think? Has anyone here tried the elevated desk thing? And is that something that works for you, Robert, Ellen? Any of you guys got an elevated desk where where my friend here does it? Looks like he comes in, he has the thing, he lifts it up, and his computer's on it, and then he stands up and he does his thing. And I've seen other desks that are pre-programmed, on television and all, where you press the button. And you press the button and it kind of comes up to whatever level you preset. That people do that. People believe in that. Oh, well, what do you think? People say we sit down too much. Sitting down leads to issues. And I guess it's something you can get accustomed to anything. But I'm so accustomed to, maybe I'm resting, sitting down so much. That whole thought of standing my entire day while I work. If I was in an occupation that required it, that's one thing. But in an office environment where I never sat down, just worked at an elevated desk all day, I'm not so sure about that. What do you think about that, Robert? What do you think about that, Ellen? You got any thoughts on that? What do you think about that, Alexis? I don't know if any of you ever tried to kind of do the whole elevated desk thing and if it works for you. And even more, if it helps you lose weight. If you tried it to the extent that it helps you lose weight. So that was kind of out there. Now, here's something. We gotta add a little of this into it. Normally I try to stay away from it. But the mayor of Nashville, Tennessee, did you see that story? Where she has admitted that she was having an affair with her head of her security detail. Now, let's not go too much into that. We're not trying to out anybody, but it was in the paper, that she's a married woman, she's mayor. And she's having an affair with the head of her security detail. That's kind of interesting. I mean, it's not It's not world shattering or anything like that. You know how it is. People together a lot. Big, strong security detail guy, a powerful mayor. She likes the physique. He likes the power. Things happen in the adult world, right? So hopefully that'll turn out all right. But it's kind of put the kibosh, it seems like, on her upwardly mobile political career, which I think is unfair. I think it's 100% unfair. I hope she can survive this. I hope that she can continue on, that whatever happens, that she can kind of continue her upward movement. Because quite frankly, if it was a man and it was turned around and it was a man having an affair with, someone, that's all men have proven throughout history. That's survivable. Whether you're John F. Kennedy or Bill Clinton or whoever it might be. But sometimes it's kind of the kiss of death for women, and it's just not fair. It just should not be that way. As I had a story just the other day where they were trying to put a little negative thing out on Nikki Haley, saying that she had a relationship with Donald Trump. And this whole term of that, what they call slut shaming, that was in the paper. So I just think it's unfair. Yeah, and hopefully Derek's got a comment here. He says here, as an architectural engineer, we always used elevated desks to be able to reach more work on all sides of the drawing. Well, Derek, do you think it helped you lose weight? Did it do anything for you? Well, I can understand kind of the functionality. You want to be able to spin something around and get to it and all that. But this article that's in CNN is saying that if you do that, it'll help you lose weight. And maybe it would. Maybe if I'm standing all day, I'm using muscles and stuff like that. I don't know. I didn't like standing all day when I was in the military. So I'm not so sure that I would just do it when I don't have to. It's kind of like being one of those guards over in England, with the big hats and all. You got to stand. I kind of got that view of it, and I know it's not like that. But you kind of the standing is not something that you kind of look forward to do. But I'm sure I could get used to it. If I was standing and maybe running in place, and then I had the option to sit down a little bit and do a couple of stretches, stretch myself out. That's what I could get used to it. So if you come in here one day and I'm standing up doing the broadcast, then you know why. Yeah, it's not likely, but then you'll know why. It was based on this story. So, but thank you for that feedback, Derek. So we're not going to spend too much time on that mayor of Nashville. I mean, certainly I've been to Nashville. Nashville's a great city. Nashville, has a lot of things, very Elvis oriented, Elvis Presley, oriented down that way. And I'm trying to think, I used to know the previous mayor of Nashville. I get these cities confused. I used to travel so much. But I think that's the guy who now owns the football team, previous mayor, down that way, the Tennessee Titans. So he was a very wealthy guy when he became mayor. But we hope that she gets through that. The other story that I thought was interesting out there is the race that's going on between Apple and Amazon as to which company, in 2018, mind you, which company is going to become $1 trillion company. $1 trillion company. What's happening with the stock market and stocks going up in value and all, it's to be expected that, of course, related to that is that the companies that the stocks represent, that they are actually going up in value too. But you don't really put a number on it until you really think about things like $1 trillion, that there is not presently on the stock exchange any company that is worth $1 trillion. Derek's back here with another comment on the desk piece. He said, we could adjust the desk as needed. You could lean on the desk with your elbows, and it did keep you awake after lunchtime. I can imagine, I'm sitting here like this, trying to fight sleep and all. If I'm at work and I'm doing my thing, all of a sudden I get sleepy and it's boom, I'm on my elbows, and it's kind of funny. I don't know if you guys ever done it. I used to teach. I still teach every once in a while, but I used to teach a lot. And occasionally, there would be these students, and I'd go, and a student, he would have his head down like this, right, and he's sound asleep. And he's in my class. He's in the back. He's in my class. And then I'd go back, because I can't just let you sleep through class, So, he's back there and he's like this. And I'd kind of tap him, to kind of wake him up. And you know what they would do? Trying to fake me out. So he'd sleep. And when I tap him, you know what he'd say? Amen. Like he'd been praying. I used to think that was funny, amen. What are you going to say to the guy? I can't say anything about your, taking a moment of meditation in my class. That's a little different than sleeping or a moment of prayer. I can't say anything about that, but but that's what would happen. I used to think that was so funny that people would kind of perfect it out. Oh, he's falling asleep. And then, but the second I touch him, he's falling. Amen. He's ready to, like he's been praying. He's been alert. He's just taking a moment of prayer, a moment of meditation. But Derek, if had that elevated table, I don't know if you ever did that. I'm sure you didn't. You never fell asleep working, and you never used that excuse. When you were working, if you were caught, if you fell asleep, you never did that. So, and I was just such a nerd. I didn't want to be asleep. If I was sleepy, I'd be in class. I might have some water splashing it on my face. I gotta learn. I must be here. I must stay awake. So. We've got it's Chantavia. Okay, he said you're smart. She's laughing out loud. So, I used to be quite the nerd back in my day. Some say I still am, but that is what would happen. Occasionally when students would fall asleep in class, they'd kind of perfect it. What are you going to say? I'm going to write you up for praying? I don't know if you're praying or asleep, you could have been in a little trance. I don't know. So, but it kind of reminded me of that, Derek, when you were talking about having your elbows on the elevated table, that it keeping you awake, that if you were to fall asleep, I'm sure you never did that. I won't put too much of a point on that. So, but this whole race between Amazon and Apple as to who's going to be $1 trillion company. Now, let's imagine that. Now, the stock market is going up. And all of these guys are making all this crazy money in their net worth, and they, selling stock into this. Stock market goes up, you sell a little stock, and you sell it at these outrageously high values. But there's some that say the values are going to continue. I mean, there's some who are predicting we're going through 30,000 in the stock market and all the rest of that. And who's to say what's possible and what's not possible in the market? So if that were to happen, then these guys would be a part of $1 trillion company. And we've got to see here. Let's see. We've got Derek, who's talking about the fact that Apple, he's heard that Apple is using some of the same criteria. He's talking about what's happening with the headquarters of Amazon possibly moving into Baltimore, and that the money that's being put out there by the mayor here locally to get Amazon to come here. That's really it's an important thing because I talk about it all the time. Politicians will say, "Well, we're going to increase the amount of jobs in a given area." Well, they don't increase jobs. We increase jobs. Entrepreneurs increase jobs. We build our businesses, we sell things, we hire people. So if I hire 10 people, then 10 jobs will increase in Baltimore. It's just that simple. If you bring in Amazon's got 50,000 jobs that they can bring. So it's not that the mayor in and of themselves, people talk about politicians and, creating jobs. You just create a nice environment for me to want to stay here and to hire some people. So, I think that's all very interesting. What's happening here locally, but also to the extent that Amazon and Apple are in this race for $1 trillion, that makes them more valuable as corporate headquarters. Because they're making that kind of money, hopefully they'll take it and invest it. They'll, sell their stock or the kind of bottom line that would generate that $1 trillion increase. So stock prices go up based on the bottom line of a company, technically. So the more that these companies make, the more that the stock price should go up. And if they're making that kind of money, hopefully if an Amazon or something comes to Baltimore, that would be great. And Derek's making the point that he believes that the locally Baltimore missed out because of its reputation of violence. So that's awful. But somebody's going to win that Amazon lottery and get those 50,000 jobs, and it's going to really boost their economy and so on. One of the biggest houses in Washington D.C. is owned by Bezos, the president of Amazon. He's got a huge house. I think the biggest house, the number one. I said one of the biggest. I'm giving him faint praise. I think he has the biggest house. So I don't know how much of that $1 trillion he's broken off to own a home, but but over in that D.C. suburb, Maryland suburb area, Bezos is living like a king. Yeah, I don't blame him. My man, me too. That's all I say. I want to be part of that Me Too movement. So we'll see what happens with Amazon and so on. But if indeed, let me just talk about this from an investment standpoint. You see me dabbing my nose. I'm still in the aftermath of that cold that hit me. I feel fine, but you got that aftermath. If Bezos and Apple are in a race to get their market values up to $1 trillion, you know what that says to me? I mean, if that's the case, I ought to be buying some Apple. I ought to be buying some Amazon. Now, Apple's been under a little pressure lately. Stock prices declined a little bit. Some people concerned about slow iPhone sales and all that. And, we'll talk about that. Hopefully, some of the investment part of what we do, maybe in our Money Masters section. But if indeed these guys are saying who's going to make $1 trillion first, I think I'll ride with you. I'm going to get a little bit of that, kind of ride with you. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe I'll buy a little Apple. Maybe I'll buy a little Amazon if I believe that that's what you guys are going to do. And I'm going to take the ride with you so that I can participate in your upward rise. Hope you make it to $1 trillion. And then if you do, then I'll get some small rate of return on my investment with you. So hopefully that will be what we do. One of the other stories that was kind of near and dear to me that I saw out there was this big question, this story on how to lose your love handles. As many of you know, I'm, sort of in a constant diet mode. And once I make my mind up, though, it's a little tougher because my girlfriend's not in a diet mode. So I feel like I got to eat it if she cooks it. But barring that, I am, for the most part, in the diet mode. What that means is I've been sharing with you all is I kind of bring my lunch to work. And I've been pretty successful in bringing salads, which I like salad. I'm a salad eater. I love salads of different types. I love vegetables, and stuff. I do. For many, many years, I was a vegetarian. When probably at least a decade. And I weighed less than what I do today. And so I'm trying to get back to that. And so this whole issue of how does one lose love handles, I thought was interesting. And what they say here in the story that I read, in losing love handles and getting into shape is more about the kitchen than the gym. So many people, they go to the gym and they're really working so hard and they're thinking, oh boy, I'm working to get my weight down. And I'm sure it has some effect. It's not like it's not having any effect at all. But if you really want to get your weight down, if you really want to get rid of those love handles, they say it has much more to do with how you eat than your exercise. How do you all feel about that? Do you really think that, it's the gym and, or the kitchen? Because I tell people, and I know this for a fact, I know this from personal experience, at least my personal experience. Before I really get too heavy into anything in the gym, and I used to be a gym fiend. I used to, when I work out, we work out other people. I used to just work out by myself because I outwork other people, and they just kind of, okay, I'm done. All right, see you later. I'm still trying to do some what they call burpees and crunches. I'm on the pull-up bar and all that. You heard me tell my story. The first time I did a pull-up, I hyperextended my elbow, and I had to take off for a week because I was so big. But day by day, I'd get on that pull-up bar, and one, and I let it go. And then 2 weeks, I do that for like 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks down the road, I'll just stretch out and do real pull-ups. Not these guys that kind of half arm it, like they're kind of almost like, I won't say what they look like, but, you got to go full extension, manly full extension on the bar. Boom. pull it up, 2. And day by day, I lost weight, got stronger day by day. Before I knew it, there I was. I could give you 10. I could give you 100, actually. I do 10 and do some other things, take a break, come back 10 more. That's how it was. Now, of course, that was me at the top of my game. So we'll see. We'll see, though, because I do want to lose some weight. And, it's just a healthier thing to do. My friend Mel was on me because, I don't walk as much as I used to. I can't really, I've told you my schedule. When am I going to have time to walk? Yeah, but I'm probably going to take a little break during the day. Maybe even I'll bring my sweatsuit in here, switch my clothes up, just go out and take a walk, and then come back. Got to figure out the shower facility in here. But all that's a part of losing weight, kind of getting yourself together. Now, Shantavia, I'm going to give you another plug, and I hope that we'll be able to get that link to work and that you'll be on board. But I'm now moving on because we're getting into the hour where we may have Miss Allison Nash joining us. And she's going to be talking about something that is kind of interesting. She is a relationship and communication coach, if Allison makes it. And she's talking about, how you maintain a relationship with your ex. Many people have a falling out, whatever, they get divorced and all, and they can't deal with their exes, and all kinds of things fall out. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what she has to say about how you have, her saying is that on her site is that relationships change, families don't. It's kind of interesting. So hopefully she'll be joining us in the next hour. So I invite you all to stay for that to see if that is actually going to happen. And if that doesn't happen because of the link out there or whatever. And we're also, we're upgrading that to our link process. As I mentioned, we're getting a backup to the backup and that link backup system so that we have more than one ways to split the screen and the split and bring people in, which I love to do. I love to have people on the screen and so you can actually see them. Because you hear me talk about this all the time. This is a two-way talk format, and there are different ways to talk. I mean, you can send me a text, and I'll certainly react to that, or you can click on that link, and it seems like it worked for Mr. Earl and Shantavia. Feel free. Maybe tomorrow we'll work on that, see if we can get you on board. But and just come on board. The screen will split, and you'll be here. You'll be part of the broadcast. I see Mr. Coates out there. Alexis has done it. Others have done it, taking the risk of being in front of thousands of people all over the world. And when that happens, then we can just talk about what interests you. In fact, I'm looking. Allison is out of Ontario, which I love. We're trying to reach people globally, and quite frankly, this problem of dealing with your ex is not just an Ontario problem, Ontario, Canada problem. It's a global problem of how relationships can kind of survive after divorce. It's an important subject, and so I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say about it as a person who has been divorced myself. So I'm sure she's got a lot to say and a lot that we can kind of benefit from. I'm hoping that many of you stick around, chime in, and give me your reactions to what she is saying, if she makes it. So it says, try again tomorrow. Yeah, hopefully, Mr. Earl. I see Shantavia, she came on. She says she has some issues with the screen. She's going to try again tomorrow. And maybe Mr. Earl can kind of walk you through it because it just worked perfectly. He came right into my green room. And that's how it's supposed to work in the tech world. You just come into my green room, and then I see you. And you're not on the broadcast yet. Only I can see you, which is important. Because, as I said, there's only 3 things I ask for. Only 3 rules of getting on the broadcast. 1, you cannot come on the broadcast talking any crazy terrorism stuff. If you do that, click them. I'm going to click a little button over there, and you will be gone. And the second is you can't come on giving me the finger or any kind of obnoxious gesture at any point in time. So if you do that, if I see you in the guest room and you're down there giving me the double finger, you're not likely to get to the broadcast. And the third is no pornography. I can't, we're not really doing that here. If you come into the green room and I see you doing anything that looks like pornography, as I said, I may watch you for a while. joking. No, I'm going to click you off, and I'm not going to put you on the broadcast certainly, and I'm going to click you off as soon as 5 minutes passes. No, I'm joking. Because I'm not trying to promote that. Because you know how it is. When you put your email out there, you get all kinds of email, all kinds of people. Send your friend requests, and there are different little pictures in the friend request. So it's kind of interesting. Because when you open yourself up to the world, you give your email address out to the world, and the kind of things that come back. Some which are very nice and inspiring. Other things come back that are kind of shocking. That what are you guys into out there? It's kind of freaky deakiness of. I hope I haven't been putting out those kind of vibes because that's not really me. I'm bottom line. We need to get some business and make this thing happen. So that's kind of how I am, and put the issues out there for the people and hopefully get something that's of some value. Because our whole thing is representing the widest possible amount of voices. We're doing the show 24/7. We're looking to build content of all types. That's really the hope and what we're attempting to do out there. So when we find people that have a unique story, a unique point of view, we feel very good about being able to get them out there. And we see someone who's helpful, providing some helpful information. We really look forward to getting them out there as well. The guests that we bring in, for the most part, are remote. But some, and when I say remote, come in through the link and all. But occasionally, someone will come in here and just sit right beside me, and we'll just make it happen right here in front of the camera, and that's great too. But I try not to get too many people to come in because it's just convenient to do it from your bedroom. That, if indeed you've got a story that you want to tell and that we want to get out there in front of the people that are listening to us, you can do it right from your bedroom, from your cell phone, your iPad. As I mentioned, you can do it from your car. If you don't drive and do it. But if you're a guest passenger in your car and you want to kind of say, well, I'm going to sign in from the road, we've tested that and that will work. Although the signal did drop a couple times. But it depends on if you're in a bad wireless zone. You could be in a good wireless zone, then boop, you drive through a bad one, signal drops, then you kind of bring it back up and we just keep it moving. But it does work. My thought is that represent the widest possible amount of views and to get you in through the widest possible amount of mediums. As I said, we may well have a little cell phone here where you can call in the number and we'll just put you on speaker and let you say something not inappropriate. If it's too crazy, click them. Not trying to do that. Barring anything like that, which I know most of you all out there are good people. It's yesterday, you just never know, just folks do stuff and every once in a while you just got to click them. So that's kind of the way it goes in the live world. I see that happen even in sports broadcasts. Someone will come on a sports broadcast and they want to talk about politics. Well, this isn't, sports broadcasts aren't the place for it. And so they tend not to stay too long on the broadcast itself. So if you'd like to send me, if you got an interesting story, something compelling you think people should know more about, why not just send me an email to my email address, Nate, Nate, at thewewe.com. And just let me know, and I'll take a look at it, get back to you. You have your email address there. We'll get back to you and see what we can do about getting you on board, because from my perspective, you are the content. I mean, we're a two-way talk format. We want you here. We want you to be able to get your message out there. And so that is what we're trying to make happen. So as we kind of look at possibilities, for future broadcasts. And, I'd like for some of you to make some suggestions. I got a couple more news stories here I'm going to talk a little bit about. And, I do want to get back to that whole love handles thing. And then in addition to that, we're constantly scanning stories to see if there's anything that's out there that you all might be interested in that's current as today. I want to kind of revisit something that Derek Burnett brought up. Derek sent me a picture from the upcoming Black Panther movie. It seems like that movie has really gotten some very encouraging statistics. They're saying that movie might be one of the all-time sellers when it comes out. Now, I intend to go see it. As I said, I don't go to a lot of movies, but I do intend to go see that. How many of you out there are thinking about it or thinking about going to see that movie? I used to read. Who do we have here? We've got Jolene Johnson King has joined the broadcast. Jolene, give me a text at what part of the country you're from, what part of the world you're from. We are, for those of you who are like me, who are going to see the movie on opening day, when I come back that following Monday, we can give our impressions of what we thought about the movie when we went to see it. I am pretty excited about it. I like the trailers for the Black Panther movie. That's kind of cool. They've made him even more stronger than he was in the comic books. As I said, I used to read the comic books quite a bit. So this whole thing of, how he can, he's a lot stronger personally, the whole bulletproof thing. That wasn't a part of the comic books. Black Panther was not bulletproof. His suit and all that wasn't bulletproof the way they do it now. But I like it. And so I'm looking forward to how many of you are going to do it? Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you for putting that out. That's my email address, nate@thewe.world. That's it. You send something there and you've got an interesting thought or an idea or something that you'd like to put forth. Or the other thing we do is we help people in doing this type of live stream production. There's a fair amount of infrastructure, and you see with me even challenges of things that can go wrong in a live stream broadcast, and that's with the setup that we have. If you're just doing it from the phone, right now, if I look at my phone, those are like the little circles spinning. If I depending on that to do my broadcast, I would be in trouble. Because the circle spins and then the broadcast starts, the circle spins and then the broadcast starts. So it is problematic when you do things wirelessly. Even though it's available, we've got the cameras even can be wireless. You don't have to plug them into the Ethernet. But I would definitely advise anybody who's looking to do this live stream to not do it wirelessly because the signals just drop too much. Maybe, and it's too unpredictable. One day wireless is working perfectly and everything's great, and then the next day you cannot get anything to work. You could be standing in the same spot, at the same time. And so wireless is one of those things that I would recommend against it being, the total purpose of your broadcast. As I said, we got cameras here that we don't have to plug into the wall. We can just, go wireless. But my experience has been, even though the connection distance is not that great, so even though the connection distance is not that great, what happens is if you go wireless, then for them, you open yourself up to not having a broadcast that's consistent. And even when you're wired, as you can see, even when you're in the wall like we are in the Ethernet, your broadcast can drop and through no fault of your own. So that is something for you guys. So because more and more people are considering this wireless thing and connections that are out there. As I said, I really, come on, I don't know how long or how successful Derek and I are going to be tonight. Derek, I'm kind of looking forward to you being at that restaurant tonight and broadcasting from that restaurant. In the Grind and Wine restaurant, because, that whole issue that we touched on earlier, you must have wireless. Not every place has wireless. And B, it's got to have a big enough pipe so that when you're doing video, you need to have a big enough pipe so that the video signal can come in. And that's all affected a big pipe. And you're in a restaurant, you may not be the only one trying to get through that pipe. There may be other people in the restaurant who are trying to use that same wireless connection to check their Facebook or check whatever. So more and more people are going through the pipe, and it can affect your signal. So we'll see how things work out at the restaurant tonight. Hopefully you don't get the same effect I'm having on my phone right now, the whole spinning signal, then fine, spinning signal, then fine. If so, that would be interesting. Oh, we've got Derek. Derek has made a comment. He said, I will definitely go see if they said the premiere and red carpet events have all had the actors dressed like kings and queens. Yeah, so the actors all dressing like kings and queens. Now, I am... we're here just talking about we'll work it out at the restaurant. Yeah, because that's our experiment, because we want other restaurants. We're actually talking about doing a restaurant show, or we maybe do a restaurant kind of blitz where our people go to a restaurant and just try it out. and then kind of bring in their comments. We can split the screen and you can have multiple comments simultaneously. You imagine that? Would that be of any interest to anybody? Just imagine this, that there's some new restaurant and we can split the screen. Ultimately, I can split the screen up to 9 people. Ultimately we'll be doing that. So not sure we want 9 people, but let's say 9 people go to a restaurant and they all order different things. And it's a new restaurant. And then right then and there, you can say what you think. How fast was the service? What do you think the ambiance? What do you think of what you got? And so on. You can just do it 9 people. And what happens is then what I do from the production standpoint is that I then make this person live and you can hear what they're saying. The other person's live. Maybe I make them 2 live at a time, something like that, because 9 people talking, that would be kind of confusing. But if we did up to 9 people, but 9 people is kind of the limit because you keep splitting the screen, the stream. And that gets you back to that whole thing of what I was talking about. Alexis, you out there, you appreciate this, that, only so much can go through that pipe before it starts to get jumpy. What happens is in the broadcast, you'll hear the voice because oftentimes what will happen is, and it really is very unpredictable. Sometimes the voice will get disjointed. So I'll say something and it'll sound like, my voice is either following me or in front of me or something like that. Or the video starts to get choppy. That's when, you got pipe issues. So Derek, I'm looking forward to our experiment tonight with you going out to the restaurant, because ultimately, doing some type of restaurant show is in our future. And in fact, one of my good friends, she's not on today, I got to give her a call. She had suggested that we do healthy restaurant choices, which Mr. Earl suggested a couple of places we could go, kind of all agree to be there. And those of you who are out there and that you could go there and do a quick little blitz and order different things and let's see what you think. And we can put it out there and hopefully people will benefit from that. So I'm thinking about that kind of employing, remote and live stream and splitting, screen splitting technology in that way. So what do you think if that's a good idea? If you'd like to see something like that, if it would be kind of interesting, different than what most people are doing. But it just kind of gets me back to what I was saying before. If you want to step up your live streaming game, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with having your cell phone, and just kind of getting out there and getting your message out there, doing your thing. If that works, you got the strong wireless connection somewhere. You're the only one using it at the time. That helps. And quite frankly, we have wireless here, but wireless through the phone. And I assure you that around the office at this time of day, I start broadcasting at 6. And it's about 7:37. There aren't many people here, if anybody, here. So it's not like I'm sharing the wireless connection, with a whole bunch of people, and therefore it's like going around in a circle because so many people are using it. It's just the nature of wireless. It's a good thing. I mean, if you want to, check your sports sports scores on ESPN or something like that, it's a good thing. But when you want to do the video, when you're hitting the live stream, it uses up a lot of bandwidth and it takes a lot of loading time. So, for those of you who are looking to get into a live streaming game or who are thinking about how you can best do that, it's something to really think about. Look at us, study us, and you'll see as we do it because we're pushing the edge. Because next week there'll be a young lady on. She's actually out of Rwanda, but she's going to be in Sierra Leone. That's where she is. She's coming in from Sierra Leone, which is a whole nother issue. What's the technology like in Sierra Leone? What's the networking like? She's going to have to get into a good place with good bandwidth, the same thing. I'm not saying that, some African country may not have as good a internet support as, what we have, or I don't know. But I know she's going to be broadcasting that Monday. Actually, Monday she's supposed to be here. From Sierra Leone, she opened up a fitness chain over there in Africa. And she's going to talk a little bit about her evolution. She went from local, U.S. attorney to an attorney who was in the U.S., not the U.S. attorney, but a U.S. attorney. So she's going to talk about that evolution. But the interesting thing is she's doing the broadcast and she's over there in Africa from Sierra Leone. And we'll see how that goes because the same kind of thing applies. If you're doing it if you're not plugged into the wall and doing it from the Ethernet, which is, if you're doing it from your cell phone, or it's a little bit tougher to do it. You can do it from an iPad. You can hook an iPad into the wall, with the converter. I won't go all into that because this pad I have here hooked into the wall. It's not wireless. But the problem is the video card doesn't update fast enough, so I get a lot of choppiness, even though it is hooked into the wall. This is another thing to think about if you're coming in from the iPad. Something, all in this live stream game to make it happen. So that's why I started on this point, because I wanted you to know that you can. You get someone like us and we're happy. We'll look at what you're trying to do and we may just produce it for you. All you've got to do is like come to us and then we send it out. And that's kind of how it works. So if you are, if you got something interesting out there and you just don't want to be bothered with all of this and what is underneath this table, then you can just say, hey, we'd like you to handle it. And we could talk about how we might work that out. Jolene, I see you're out there. Give me a little text. So let me know what part of the country, if you're in the United States, what part of the world you're in. I see you're out there and have joined our broadcast. So, and happy to have you. Thank you for taking the time to do that. So, that's some of the things that I thought I would mention. Derek saying, send me a link. I'll try it on my iPad now. Well, the link, Derek, is right there on the site. It's on the Wii. If I didn't make that clear, it's kind of interesting to link stuff as well. I send the link out to our business page, which is the Wii. And on the business page, what you can do, and I think you can do it on fan page as well. We've got Gabrielle. Gabrielle's joining us. Gabrielle Claiborne. Gabrielle, what part of the country are you from? What part of the world are you from? And we send the link out. We have the essential place that we operate under, which is the We, which is the corporation. All of us together are the We. And there's a link, because of the business page, that I can pin to the top of my post. So unlike other pages, I may put it on like your regular page, your regular personal page. You can put it out there, but anytime you get any more content, it just knocks it down. So you may not see it. You cannot pin something in a personal page. You can only pin it in a business page or a fan page. So that's what we do. We pin it on the top of the fan page at the We, and you have that link. And that link is, stays there until I unpin it, which I try to each day so there's no confusion. I try to make sure I go on and delete the previous day's link, and then I add the new day's link. So, and then sometimes if I forget on the personal page, it just gets knocked down, and I have to find it, kind of scroll through everything to see where that thing was. Because, we're constantly getting content. We have many, many friends who post, and I've given the ability to post on my personal page. And so there's always content that's coming in. So if I put something on, someone posts something, it'll just knock it down and you won't be able to see it. So that's why we do it that way. So if you want to find us, where's that link? There's going to be a link every day, unless there's some technology problem. You can rest assured that every day that there's going to be a link. And we see Derek. Derek, what are you doing, man? Shit, here, I'm going to bring him on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Hey, Derek, is that you, man? You working out?
Man, I hooked it up. I'm on this elliptical trying to get my at least 20 minutes in.
I see. You working from the iPad?
Working from the iPad, so we're going to be straight tonight.
Well, I can see you, I see your arms going. You're not trying to fake us out now. You're really on the machine, aren't you? You're not just...
machine, man.
You're not just like doing your arms. I see some guys...
No, I'm on the machine.
I see some guys that are on their knees and they act like they're doing push-ups. You just see the top part of them.
So, on the machine.
Well, this gives us an opportunity. We haven't gone split screen in a little while. Derek is the host of the Culturally Conscious Network. We actually if you're looking at the screen, Derek, the monitor in your iPad, you can see you're kind of a little bit of a shadow. We don't really see your face. Yeah.
That's cool.
All we see is you're doing your workout there. You say 20 minutes. I don't think we caught you in the last 5. Look like you just starting, man.
I am. I was trying to make sure I had that connection,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We, it'll be nice tonight. I talk a little bit about the issues of live streaming and also how tough it is sometimes to go through the wireless. And Shantavia, you see this? Well, I'm 2 for 2 on these links now. We need to get Shantavia all hooked up so she can join the show. We don't want to miss her tomorrow. So, Earl, Derek, we need to get Shantavia hooked up so she can tell her story. But I'm glad to see you there, keeping yourself in shape. Man, maybe I need to do that. Would you mind if I did it during the show? Because man, I have no time to work out. But
Work it out.
Yeah, you and I know. We for those of you who are watching, we got Gabrielle. She just joined us, Gabrielle Claiborne. We've got Derek. You know what? I forgot to do that. Let me just do this because sometimes I get so caught up, so I don't even have to tell who folks are. We can just put the labels out there so folks will see actually who we are. Derek is the host of the Culturally Conscious Narrative, which is going to show tonight about 7 o'clock. Just doing a little testing here of the link. We want to make sure that, we've got another guest who's supposed to join us a little later as well. So we want to make sure that link is a good link. And yes, it is working. Yeah, we're going to talk to Derek for an hour. He's going to stay on that machine for about an hour.
I don't think so.
Oh, man, you seem like you're giving it quite the workout there. Making me jealous, man. I had to stand up here and do a little something myself. Trying to get it together. But and maybe that's
before you know it.
Well, maybe that's the point of a show. Exercise for the busy guy. How do you get it in? Is in the old days, because I'm an early riser, I would hit the club because the club I used to belong to was open 24/7, and that club, anytime you wanted to go in, you can go in and get your thing. So for me, I would hit there, usually almost about the time of the show. I might get there at 5 a.m. Plus, although it doesn't look like it now, I was a triathlete, as you heard me share. So if you're doing triathlons, you need to do at least 2 things a day. So I'd get there and get down to the pool and I'd swim a mile, and then I get out, get myself together, and then later in the day I may have to go run. So that used to be what I would do, but now it's gone from that to nothing. So
you get back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really my goal, to kind of get back, because once you feel like once you've done it, you can always do it. You just have to turn on that mindset and make it important. And as I said, maybe during the day, I'm not trying to get too sweaty, taking these walks around these office buildings, but I'm going to have to figure out how I get it done, most likely during the day. To make it happen, to see what you're doing. You see those folks who are watching us now? You can come in and join the broadcast, whatever you might be doing. So if you're working out at the club this morning, there was a young lady, she was at the club on Donnie's show. She didn't come on the split screen, but she was working out just like you. She was at the club doing her thing, and she came onto the broadcast. So we invite you to whatever you might be doing. This is one of the great advantages over traditional television. You don't think Morning Joe would do this. Chris Como at CNN, he wouldn't do this. So you'd have to kind of be in your suit and do everything else. We don't require that. You just come as you are, because it's the we. Come as you are, whatever you're doing. I don't think you need to really be super dressed up or anything like that. We'll bring you on, and you can just add to the broadcast. So, Derek, I look forward to getting back with you tonight.
All right, that's cool.
So I'm going to take you down, and we're going to invite some other people to join us. So thanks a lot, Derek.
Peace.
Okay, peace. Who else is out there? Whatever brave soul that we have out there is going to join that link. I see Gabrielle, Jolene. I can't get you to click on that. Tell us more about yourself. Click on that link and join us. And become a part of the broadcast, become a part of the we. Let us know what's on your mind. Any thoughts that you may have about the world or some of the topics that we are joining, even Shantavia. Now, we're going to try to get you back on tomorrow to get you to give us a kind of an update. But Also, just feel free. I'll try to talk to you after the broadcast, or Mr. Earl might get with you after the broadcast to just make sure that that we get you tested out a little bit with the link and make sure everything's okay. But you see, that's the nature of what we do. We're two-way talk. And if you've got an opinion on issues, if you'd like to get your point of view out there, just either text us or talk to me, and we'll be happy to get you on board and split the screen with you and give you your chance to get out there. Also, don't forget to share our videos and share them out there so more people can know that we're here. And we're here, Lord willing, and technology issues, and that's still a part of Lord willing. From 6 to 9, Monday through Friday, and would love to have you on board. Just like Derek, be that brave soul, whatever you might be doing, cooking breakfast, watching your kids, or even watching one of the other channels that bring us on board. You can double up. You can watch TV and you can have something happening on your phone at the same time, or your iPad. So we're happy with that as well. But we really want you to share us out there. We really want you to like us out there, and help us to can give us feedback so we can continue to bring content that you might be interested in. And sometimes they even come. Sometimes I guess even make it, and we're happy to do that. So some days we have multiple guests, and other days it's just me and you. It's just me and you, kind of just going over issues in the news and talking about things that are kind of interesting out there, disproportionately because he's such a news maker. There's so much stuff is Trump related. And as I said, I've come to really admire the people out there in the news world, because on any given day, you got to decide on what's worthy. And Trump is saying, his thoughts and what people say about his thoughts kind of dominates the news. And even in the aftermath of like the State of the Union the other day, people dissect that, how much was accurate of what he said, what was his position with the First Lady. That was kind of interesting too. I don't know how many of you caught the Jimmy Kimmel show, but Jimmy Kimmel actually had the young lady, I think her name was Stormy Daniels, who was the pornography star, who supposedly had the affair with Donald Trump during the time of his marriage. And so she is kind of going back and forth. On one hand, she has said, oh, yeah, we had this big time affair and I was paid off not to say anything. Now she has come out and said, no, I didn't have the affair. And I'm not going to tell you if I really signed the document or not. That was how long Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel came out and said, did you sign this document? And it was that big back and forth. Well, we have. Alicia Nash is coming. She's coming. And so we've got that. I'm looking forward to Alicia coming on. And Alicia, as I said, is from Ontario, Canada. So when I see her in the guest room, I will let you know, and I will bring her on. Hopefully that'll go smoothly. But so that's kind of interesting. It's this. People can say anything about anybody, and just because she said it doesn't mean it's true. Of course, just because he denied it doesn't mean it's true. But she is getting all this press. She's a porn star. And so now I wouldn't be a bit surprised if she got a book out of it, and maybe even more. That kind of happened. It wouldn't be the first time that someone in that industry has taken off based on some relationship they had with someone. I remember there was a number of congressmen that back in the old days, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, and he had a relationship with a young lady who was a stripper. And that young lady brought his congressional career to an end. But in fact, oh, good, I can see Allison. Allison, I can see you. And so I'm going to transition now, if you don't mind. I'm going to read Allison's resume. Now, she's the head of Allison Nash Coaching. Allison is a relationship and communication coach who helps women after divorce have stress-free relationships with their exes, even if he's the most difficult guy in the world. She's the founder of Create Extraordinary Relationships. Gifted with an incredible, powerful, and compassionate heart, she has the ability to get to the heart of the matter. Her mission is to end suffering as we know it in relationships. That's powerful. For close to 2 decades, with her intense passion and visionary leadership, Allison has worked in both personal and corporate coaching fields, with clients ranging from single mothers and couples to managers and teams. She is a speaker, a CTI professional coach, recognized by the International Coach Federation, as well as a certified coach through the Academy of Choice, whose process is based on the foundation of the legendary Dr. William Glasser's choice theory. Her personal poignant story of transformation from heartbreak to triumph is featured in the book Reconcilable Differences. Marriages in families don't. So I'll say that again because that's really very powerful. Marriages in families don't. Along with the articles in the Globe and the Mall and the Mail. I almost missed that last mail. And it's kind of my pleasure to bring on right now to the broadcast Miss Allison Nash, the head of Allison Nash Coaching. Allison, welcome.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's good to see you in person. I've seen so many pictures now and videos. It's great to have you. And you're broadcasting in from Ontario.
Yes, bright and early in Ontario.
Bright and early. Well, it's not quite as early here, but
not as early as you. But yeah,
no,
I don't know how you do it.
Well, it's something. It's something you have to get used to. My body, it's funny. I actually almost overslept this morning, but then I caught up time. Something told me, look at the clock.
Yeah, you get used to it.
And thank God, I didn't end up oversleeping. Well, Allison, it says here, I see here in your book where it says that you had your own personal story. How did you get to Allison Nash Coaching? What was that process?
Well, I have 2 ex-husbands, so it starts about 20 years back when my first marriage was ending, and my husband came home and told me that he had fallen in love with another woman, and we had a 6-month-old baby at the time. So I immediately turned to friends, of course, and my financial advisor actually told me about a program after kind of the dust settled and I was ready to kind of face what was happening. I took a program where there was coaching available for a weekend in the program, and it just changed my life, and I fell in love with the power of coaching and what can be possible for people in relationships. And so I started to do general relationship coaching back then. Our daughter is now 20. We ended up, my ex married the woman he was having an affair with, so the 3 of us raised our daughter together as a team, and she's 20 now. So that's when I first got hooked on coaching and was doing it in a general kind of romantic relationship kind of niche. And then I remarried back in 2003, and then that marriage ended after 7 years as well. So again, I turned to the power of coaching, and I started to shift into wanting to work with women after divorce who were dealing with a difficult or stressful relationship with their ex. So I just kind of evolved over time. I've been coaching for quite a while, but the focus has shifted over time.
What are the kind of things that you see are the central issues in the aftermath of divorce? And do you work with both women and men?
I work with both, but I just kind of, in our business, it's great to have what they call a very specific niche, so people can find me. So generally, I seem to attract women, but I do have male clients, and I work with couples as well. Mm-hmm. So because the kind of coaching I do based on choice theory is across the board in any relationship. It changed my life with my children, with my teenager. I found it after I'd been coaching for a while, and then it changed my relationships with both of my exes. So what I find is that, especially for women, I mean, people can be at their...
Well, if you can hear me, Allison, come on back in, because something happened. I heard a little zap, and it kind of got dropped from the broadcast. So try to come on back in one more time. Trying to come on back in. I heard something that sounded like a little bit of feed, and you got dropped from that broadcast. So, Allison, come on back if you can hear me. We've got Elizabeth Thompson, who just joined the broadcast, and happy to have you. Elizabeth, okay, all right, let me see. Come on in. So come on back, Allison, because you really were starting to get into the heart of what I was very interested to hear about. The whole issue of the issues involving relationships. So Allison, come on back if you can. So we're looking, while we're waiting for Allison to come back, that Ontario Canada connection, and that's again what happens with live stream. We're live right now. Allison was just about to really get into her thing, and zap. It's almost like I heard some kind of little power surge, at least in my ears, and she was gone. Now, who's to say? Maybe I did have a power surge here. That kind of could have caused it, something beyond my control, but. It is something that happens. So, Allison, come on back, and we'll continue. The show must go on. We're gonna get you back in here, and let you continue from because you're really starting to get into some good stuff. And I'm hopeful that you can come in. When I see Allison come into the green room, I'll bring her right back into the broadcast, and then she will just continue on. Hopefully, she can just pick up from where she dropped off there. But that's kind of what happens with live streaming. There could have been a power surge on her side. There could have been a power surge on my side. And that kind of knocks people out of the broadcast because I heard kind of a little click, like something like a little fuzzy click. And that does it. As you can imagine, these things are kind of sensitive, these connections from, Ontario to here, kind of, tough. So anything could kind of disrupt the stream from her coming in. And it's amazing when you think about it, all the things that have to come together for something like live stream to work. So, Allison, come on back. We're going to get you, hopefully pick up right where you left off. I'm sure that we've got people who are kind of waiting to kind of hear what you have to say, kind of, because I was really very much into just listening. I have a whole bunch of questions, personal even, that I wanted to get your thoughts and opinions on. So hopefully, Allison, you can make it back in. Just go through that process one more time, get you in here. So stay with us. We're going to have Allison to really to speak a little bit on her topic. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. She's almost here. Okay, great, outstanding. So she's almost here. Okay, Allison,
I'm
you're
back.
You're
oh
back.
My gosh.
Yeah. I don't know if you heard it, but on my end, I heard something that sounded like a little power surge. So
Really?
I don't know if it was on my end. Those things kind of happen.
Okay.
But when it happened, probably something happened in this office building I'm in,
Okay.
and it knocked us off. So I know you're kind of your flow, but if you could pick up from where you were, because I was very intensely listening.
I don't know where I left off. So I think you were asking me what people are mainly dealing with after they're breaking up.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I find there's a lot of hurt. I know with people can behave at their worst, if they're angry and they're frustrated. And then when you bring the financial, it's like when you mixing the emotional piece you're trying to deal with the business of divorcing and the financial aspects and the custody. It's a big, huge thing for people to deal with. So I think they just get sucked down into emotionally dealing with all that, when really, to be effective, you need to kind of deal with the emotional piece on one end and the business piece of doing it all on the other end. So as a coach, I try to help with the emotional side so they can move on and effectively get to the business of it. Unfortunately, business might not be the best word, but you kind of have to take the emotion out of it to move on and co-parent effective. It's a new kind of relationship you're changing, you're switching into, right? So
how do you deal with anger? I mean, that seems like that's one of the more common things that people are when they go through this. There's a lot of anger for a lot of different reasons. For
sure. And, we can have our emotions, but we can still learn how to be great with people. So there's something that I work around called relationship habits. And we've got William Glasser, kind of the psychiatrist from the 50s who invented choice theory, talked about this. So we've got about 7 big destructive relationship habits, and we've got about 7 big constructive relationship habits. So I use these a lot with my clients, so that we're not coming from the destructive ones. Excuse me. We always have more influence over people, whether it's our children, our exes, our partners, when we're more connected. So when we're using the destructive habits, we're more like this. We're more butting heads, and then it's hard to be effective and get what you want. But when we're using the constructive habits, it's easier to, people are getting along easier, so they can work things out better. So there might still be anger, but, if they can deal with that with me and then use these constructive relationship habits when they're communicating with their ex, we're still here?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I'm just listening.
Okay, great. I thought we got stuck again. Sorry.
No, we're still. I'll let you know if that happens, and if it happens, please come back. But go ahead.
So so these habits, anyone can take them on, whether they're still dealing with the emotions underneath everything. So, and a lot of our emotions, I believe in my work, come from our thoughts. So I work a lot with what people are thinking, what their beliefs are. There's a lot of shouldn't, when we're going through, a lot of emotional issues. So we work with all the shoulds and the shouldn'ts and how things went. And when people can work with those thoughts and change their vision and change their pictures in their head of what they're dealing with, a lot of that suffering can end. There's pain and there's heartbreak, and I think we can go through those emotions. But when they get stuck in us as like a story about how it shouldn't have gone this way, or how he shouldn't have done this, or she shouldn't have done that, then it kind of stays with us longer than it needs to, and we call that suffering. So I really deal with the stories that people create around how things go.
All right, when you deal with cases, it seems like people get divorced for so many different reasons. And you hear the story where two people were young together and one person supports the other person's education. Let's say they become a doctor or something like that. And then that person becomes a doctor, and then they leave the person who supported them and they move on to other people. And that's that heartbreak. And you have the heartbreak that comes along when people just grow apart and one person has an affair and the other person thought everything was going well. And is it a case by case basis of how you deal with people to kind of bring them together? Because it sounds like in a sense you're dealing with reasonable people, and for the most part, do you think you're dealing with reasonable people, or do you deal with the whole range of emotions and so on?
A whole range, I'd say. A lot of the time for the women, there's fear, there can be intimidation, frustration, and for men as well, there can be the frustration and fear. It's usually always a fear-based kind of an emotion that's driving the behaviors. And I have people that range from barely seeing their children, they're in really heavy custody issues, to people that are almost getting along, but still, like, it's a wide range, really. People can be in a lot of conflict, or people can be, in a little bit of conflict. I just wish he'd be a bit more cooperative. I just wish she'd be a bit more, understanding. So it can range, but the coaching, and it can work to empower people no matter what their situation is, what level they're at, and they can move on faster with less struggle.
Let me give you a hypothetical that, I'm from the urban area, from the inner city. And so we see things here that are maybe unique. I don't know how unique they are, but let me ask you, how would you deal with this hypothetical where a person is in a relationship and then one person gets incarcerated? Let's say the man gets incarcerated, and maybe for a long time. And I'm thinking about specific situations that I know of, and how in that period, over that period of incarceration, there's a divorce. Mm-hmm. How would you deal with that in terms of how they are to be? And should a person bring their children to visit the incarcerated person, or how would you kind of work through that?
Well, I know those are the stories that we hate to hear about, for sure. I've never worked with a client with that particular case, but I do hear from a lot of women in different groups that I'm coaching in Facebook that they're in that situation. I think it really depends on where they're at emotionally, what's best for the child. A lot of the times, I'm sure judges are involved with those kind of cases as well. I think if people are level-headed and people are emotionally on as much of a stable level as they can, I think it's it's hard to say for sure, but I think it really just depends on where everybody's at, how they're getting along. I mean, if two parents are in complete conflict and there's a child in that environment, then that's not a great environment. I think people should stay away from each other until they can figure out how to be more civil with one another. So that would be the first thing, I think. But, generally, and judges, I think, we like to have both parents involved in the child's life as much as possible. It's best for the child. They want to know and have a relationship with both parents if it's possible. If it's not possible due to a lot of conflict or legal issues, then, I've also, wise mentors have also told me that we really need just one or two good connected relationships in our lives, and we can be, okay. So as long as there's one parent that's got a close relationship to the child, things can work out, and maybe they can develop a relationship later.
Well, there we go again. There was I think his signal got dropped. We both got dropped that time. I'm back, and so let's continue. Let's see if she can get back in. Okay, good. She's on her way. She is on her way. Okay, back again. All right. That's yeah. I always tell people that there's so many different complexities to live streaming, and so much of what we do is kind of in the cloud. And I can tell you that there are times that things happen that are just beyond your control. But thank you for coming back. What were you? I know you were saying something about a lot of this is with the judges and the court system and dealing with incarcerated people.
Well, I think it just depends on the situation. If people can get along civilly or not, whether the child should be in that kind of environment. I think if they can get along, it's always best for the children, of course. But I know I was saying that I think the judges really like to see 50-50, and they like to have both parents in the child's life if at all possible. And this really leads me into, if you don't mind bringing this up, I believe that families today come in so many different shapes and sizes. We've got single parent families with dads, moms raising the kids. We've got same-sex families. Oh, we did it again. Are we still there?
Still here, but it dropped. It's funny. It dropped me that time, and it kept you.
Oh boy! I really hope it's not my internet. I apologize.
I'm back. So no, it's okay.
So I was just talking about how families are so different, and there's so many different dynamics, and families look different today than I think they did years ago. We don't have the traditional family so much anymore, and we have. You're still there? I'm
still with you. I'm just listening.
So February is actually a fun month because I'm running a kind of a acknowledgement, give back kind of a campaign for all the people who help families function in our day and age with all the different kinds of dynamics we have going on. So we have something called Family Day here in Ontario, and it's throughout Canada as well, and it's usually the second or third weekend of February, depending on what province you're in. So I really wanted to run an acknowledgement campaign for all the people like judges and like lawyers and like mediators and teachers and writers and doctors, and the list goes on, all the people that really help families function in what we call family today. So it's an acknowledgement campaign where on the Friday before our Family Day, which is February the 16th, it's like a social media campaign where I'm asking people to join us in acknowledging someone that's made a difference for their family or a family that they know.
Now, how would people join you in that process?
There is a Facebook page called Helping Families Function, and if folks want to check that out, there's ways there and ideas about how they can acknowledge people on February the 16th. And there's more coming. I'm posting every day, so if they want to like the page, they can get the posts and see them. So we're calling it #Acknowledgement Friday is what we're trying to make kind of go viral if we can.
Oh, that's great. And I'd certainly urge our viewers and listeners to do that. Let me ask you, as a coach, how do people engage you? Is it a contract? Or you do it through their insurance company? How would people actually employ you?
It's really a private. We're still there. Yep.
Yeah,
It's really a private. There's no insurance. It's not a therapeutic. I'm not a therapist, so there's no insurance. It doesn't work that way with coaches. So it's basically we have different packages. I have a program actually that I created called Zero Stress with Your Ex. It's a 3-month program, and it's just a one-on-one program. So I work individually with the people going through the program. So it's really just we sell packages. If it's just straight coaching, if someone's doing the program, then that's a different price. But does that answer the question?
It does, but in order to come to you, is those package sales available through a website, or would
Yes. Yes. Well, I have, so my website is called extraordinaryrelationships.com. And if people go to the breakthrough appointment page, they can fill out a tiny little application, and then we kind of take off from there. We end up getting on the phone together to see if we're a fit and if it's the right coaching or program for them. So it's called the breakthrough appointment page.
Got you.
Yeah.
Got you. I know you also have a book that's out.
It's actually not my book. And I think you might be talking about Kate Cochran's book, which is the Marriages End, Families Don't, Reconcilable Differences.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a friend of mine. Kate wrote a book. She took about 10 families across Canada who had extraordinary relationships after divorce. And so we each got a chapter in her book. So I always like to talk about the book and give her credit for that. So yeah, it was a fun experience.
The
chapter.
So you have your own chapter?
I have my own chapter, which is called, I believe, Forgiving Our Trespasses. So it tells a little bit about the story of my first marriage and what happened after that, and then how we decided to raise our daughter and live, and then my second marriage. And we were quite close. We used to travel together when I was remarried. And my first husband, ex-husband, had more children with his wife that he married, and then I had children. So we had 5 children all together in this extended family that we kind of created, and we used to travel together and do all kinds of things together. So the whole story has been put into the book.
Wow, that's incredible. What was that like? What was the vibe like?
Well, we all had been around coaching. All 4 of the adults had gone through some programs that like the one I mentioned when we first started talking, where we knew how to get along better with each other and how to get through all of those weird, the struggle and the suffering that might have still been there. So we just got along as adults. It was just we all had that in common. So it was easier. Well, we generally, liked hanging around together and having the kids have this big extended family.
Let me ask you an adult question. Was there any real sexual tension? And I mean, did you feel funny if your ex-husband tried to hug you, or did you avoid being hugged? That's
a great question. No, it's actually, I could still say to this day that, my first ex and I, we grew up together. So he could hug me today in front of his wife, and it would be completely fine. To me, he's the father of my child. He's someone that I'll always, care about. But there wasn't any weirdness like that. No. Who we were and who we were with was quite clear. But it's a great question because, when people there's no reason to be jealous or to be intimidated by that. If people are really just understanding that there's a history with people, right? And we'll always be connected in certain ways. If you have a child with someone, we're there for the school events and the high school events and the university graduations and the marriages and then the grandkids, and we're always connected for quite a while. So if people can accept that and be, as mature as possible about that, I think it's a lot easier.
Well, that is fantastic. Is there anything else you'd like to kind of get out there and kind of talk about that you're working on?
Well, thank you for letting me talk about the Acknowledgement Friday campaign, because that's really close to my heart right now. I'm just trying to think if there's anything more we could talk about as far as that. I think, yeah, I really, my mission is to really help end suffering as we know it in relationships. So, bringing awareness to that we're all in different places, our families are all unique and different, and everyone's doing the best that they can, I think is a great thing for people to have in the back of their mind when they're, going through breakups and divorce.
Well, let me ask you this case of thought. You've been married twice, and you've
Yes.
seen any number of relationships that did not work out because you've been a coach. How does that leave you on a personal level? Are you still have hope for love, still hope for romance? Do you still believe?
I love Yes, absolutely. I love relationships. I love connection. I love close connected relationships with friends and family and partners. I think it's the best thing ever. I love relationships and I love connection. I think that people grow and change, and the world is just. This is an interesting. We could talk about this if you'd like for a sec. I've been listening to a lot of TED Talks lately. There's a sex therapist. She's French. I can't remember her name, but she works with Tony Robbins quite a bit, and she talks a lot about why marriages maybe don't last. In today's age, again, they're not as in the 50s. In even before that, she'll talk about how marriage was really a union, a financial union, or to have, it's not what it is now. We've made it into so much more. Now we want the person to be our best friends, our financial partners, our partners in parenting, our spiritual partners. There's just so much more now that we look at one person and say, you need to be all that for me. And she talks about this, how it can be an issue because years ago, back in the old days, a whole village would give everybody what they needed. Now we want it in one person. So there's a lot of, almost pressure, I think, in relationships today. And so I just think that's really interesting to think about. And she also talks about how comfort will start to replace desire in relationships. So when we, it becomes about the house after the relationship is, it's always the house and then the dog and the children and the bills and all that kind of stuff. And so it replaces desires. So she says there's I just think it's fascinating.
Well, I notice you use the word relationship more than you do marriage. Are you more a believer that relationships can happen and a marriage is not really necessary? How do you kind of see that as far as how people ought to be together?
Well, I think we're always in relationship. Always. Mm-hmm. I mean, you and I are now in relationship, right? Mm-hmm. We're relating to each other. Mm-hmm. So I think we can have great relationships whether we're married or not. Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree with that 100%. I'm just seeing more and more young people electing to live together as opposed to getting married. And I can't say that I'm, as a father of daughters, I can't say I'm totally comfortable with that. But it is the way of the world today that marriage is not the be-all, end-all thing. People live with each other and stay together for some time. And then those relationships can end, and they can end and be as devastating as if the people were married. So
whether they're married or not,
that's right. So that word relationship is something I know as a personal person, kind of old school. Yeah, I'm going to have to evolve. Maybe even there might be relationship ceremonies in the future as opposed to marriage ceremonies, where people just commit without actually having the legal bond for some reason. I could probably see that, but I really want to thank you for coming on today and for talking about this, because there's so many people who are trying to work through life after divorce, life after the separation of a relationship, and there's so many different types of relationships: heterosexual, homosexual. The fact that now the homosexual community has the ability to be married in many states, most states, I guess, in parts of the world, they have their share of divorces. Which can be very traumatic when you've gone through the whole marriage, the whole process. And marriage was much more of a struggle to get the right to do it. And then all of a sudden, because I have a good friend now who is kind of going through that, who's a good friend of mine who's homosexual, and he is, was with someone for quite some time, and he was married to that person, and they broke up, and it's kind of like devastated him. I'm just surprised he didn't kind of come into the show today.
That would have been great.
He would. So those kind of relationships need someone like you who has been through it, who can speak to it, who's been trained in the area. So I want to thank you very much for coming on the show. In future, we have to have you back some more. I see
I would love that.
There are people out there, there are questions that we didn't really answer, but I'm going to get you back on the show. So thank you. And thank you from Ontario. Thank you for going through the couple times we got dropped there and coming back. And I'm going to look out for this book here, Reconcilable Differences, and look for your chapter. So,
okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having me, Nathan. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks. And have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. I'm still here. It's this live stream technology. You just keep hearing me talk about it. You never know, the screen goes blank, and then you say, "Oh, is that the end of the show?" Nope, he's back. But actually, this is we are going to close out the end of the show. As I mentioned to you, one of the things that I try to do is I actually get the show started a little earlier. And the reason I do that is I want to, although I don't physically come onto the show, actually come onto the show until 6. I actually start the broadcast before then. And mainly because I want to make sure everything is working. And if it's not working, it gives me a little time to kind of make some corrections before we actually go live on the show. But Facebook limits you. You can only go 3 hours straight or they will stop you. And we're kind of closing into that today. I'm really thankful for Shantavia for trying to get on board, for Allison for getting on board of the show today. And, we are going to continue just a little while to see just for your questions. I see a few questions that are out there. Cynthia, I want to recognize that you're with us. Cynthia Finkley Scott. She's on board from Atlanta down there, I hope, in a climate that's warmer than this one. There is perhaps even maybe one more guest that may join us. I'll have to check out and see if he is going to join us before I officially cut us off and see if that is going to work and see if he is going to be okay to do it. This is live. So I'm going to send him a little text and see if he is going to join us. Otherwise, we can kind of pick him up tomorrow. All right. Is this today? Still, this is. See, we're everything here. We're produce, we're background, we're production assistant. Yeah. Here is today. Let's see here, and otherwise, you get some more information. Let's see what he says. But because I don't want to cut him off there, but when you're dealing with live stream, this is kind of what I like about it. You're kind of flowing with me as we kind of discuss various issues and hopefully bring in a lot of topics that you're all interested in into a 3-hour format. But the reason why we do 3 hours as opposed to longer, as I said, because Facebook only allows you to do 3 hours. Now, there's some places that don't even allow you to do that. You have to check. I know Instagram is much shorter. So they don't allow you to go that long. And I know sometimes, I hear feedback from you because our show is so long, when you try to download the file, we have a very big file. A 3-hour video file is pretty big. So it can take you some time to download it. But if you stay with it, it will download. And we have to see what we can do about that. I don't know offhand, if you can kind of break and come back, if that's wise, break and come back. So you have more files and it is easier to download, quicker to download kind of thing for looking at past episodes. So we have to look at that. But the 3-hour broadcast, I just think as the technology of live streaming evolves and what they're doing, longer broadcasts are going to be easier to download on Facebook and other social media platforms, already on YouTube. at how we might kind of speed the process up for you. There are things that are possible, but we'll just have to see if indeed they happen. Okay, I'm looking over here, and it seems like, oh, you see, we go in and out. At first, when we were doing the broadcast, the we side went out. And now I was looking over here, and like the Nathan Chapman side went out for a second. A couple other pages we're affiliated with. What can you say? It's the live streaming game. You can expect, it's kind of the old school when television actually used to do this. I mean, I kind of remember you could watch a show on TV. I mean, it's unheard of these days because the technology's evolved. But when I was a very young man, it was not unusual to watch television, and it would kind of go out and come back like that as they were developing the technology. Yes, Nate, you're giving away your age. But, oh, gee. We got Michelle out there. Michelle asked, good morning. How was the blood red moon? Well, Michelle, I said this. I opened the broadcast with it. I was kind of bummed. I was very bummed about it because I missed it. I thought that, according to what I read, it was supposed to be 5:30 a.m. But I guess, the universe does what it wants to do. And it actually happened late last night. So I was telling everybody how I came here first thing in the morning. I'm standing outside. I'm looking up at the sky. People probably thought I was crazy, except there was no one around. And I went to the front of the office building and looked up in the sky, and it was very cloudy. That was my first concern, it was just cloudy. And then I went to the back of the office building and just looked up in the air, looked up in the sky, and no moon because it's so cloudy. But it wasn't that it was happening and I just couldn't see it because of the clouds. It happened late last night. There's local papers got a beautiful picture of it. And I would have loved to have seen it, but I'm bummed I didn't see it. But, the next time, the next go around, the next, kind of extraordinary stellar event, I'm going to try to catch it and maybe be a little bit more on top of it, because of things it would have been impossible for me to stay up until I saw it, but the next time around, hopefully the time will be, I'll have the exact time or something. And maybe I'll put ask some people to call me on my cell phone or something. If you see the moon, if you see it, or whatever the event is, please call me because I'd like to see it too. Well, I'm not, how I am with guests. I'm not getting a text back from our potential next guest, so I'm going to assume that they're not going to be able to make it today. So what I'm asking, I'm going to ask them to come on another time because they're probably running behind or something along that line. So I'm going to cut off the broadcast before Facebook cuts us off, and just thank you all for